Well, thank you, Ralph. Brian Till here alongside Justin Bell and Tommy Kendall. A very damp 18th Annual Petit Le Mans from Road Atlanta. You ride on board the number 60 from Michael Shank Racing, but it's Dane Cameron who leads overall in the number 31 Corvette. Matt Yoakum, Andrew Marriott down in pit lane, and they've got the worst of the weather. We are high and dry. Let's take you back to the drop of the green, the very beginning. It was damp then. You see the 90 out in front, the very first pole position for the 90 all year long. Even though they lead the championship, the weather looked a lot better at the beginning than it does right now. Even though it looked better, still problems in the early goings. You see the car streaming through turn one. Then a problem, one of the prototype challenge cars, that's the 16. Then a problem, and you see a car off to driver's right, and Ben Keating in the Viper in the number 33 tries to avoid, goes a little wide, and gets into the puddles of water on the outside. Big damage to the back, and they had to go do a lot of work in pit lane.
That's been one of the trouble spots all weekend. Two of the GTLM contenders crashed in that exact spot in qualifying or near that spot.
Just difficult for the drivers to get the idea of where the grip is. As Ben Keating, a problem again down in 10A through the gravel trap. No damage really to the car at that point in time, but scary moments as he comes back on track. And you look at the GTLM battle trying to sneak by, throw a prototype challenge car in just for good measure, and it has been crazy from the get-go. Patrick Pilet trying to hold on to a championship in GTLM. He had to start at the back from a ride height issue in qualifying and really battled his way to the front. He was like a man on fire in the beginning.
Nick Tandy did that work, really put on a clinic in rain driving in that 911.
This was a confusing one. It was the left tire, rear tire went down. You could see him get oversteer, the car get loose coming down into turn one.
Sister car with Earl Bamber at the wheel.
Yeah, that was a tough one. All got a little bit busy here. Again, Westbrook coming down through the middle there, overtaking the 31. I tell you what, he was on a charge. The car was working as best as we've seen all weekend.
At that point in time, Richard Westbrook had a handle on the 90. Christian Fittipaldi struggling with a handle on the 5. It was down in turn 5. And this has been some of the scariest moments, trying to get the cars back on track and underway.
See the deterioration in conditions, including the camera lens.
Remember, the 17 car had a crash in qualifying. They worked all night to rebuild it, and then some problems in the race. Turn 12 once again. Very difficult for the drivers to negotiate today. Wolf Hensler gets it back underway, and then Michael Valiente in turn 12 in the 90. That's the championship leading car. It struggles to get back on track. Took a while to get it in reverse and then pulls back on track. And scary moments once again. We talked about the visibility, those cars, other cars coming through turn 12, trying to see him there. Oh.
They put Mike Rockenfeller in the 90 in the exact same spot a couple laps later. And so obviously in hindsight, they realized the conditions are not suitable.
Oh, and this is...
Even though it's a replay and I know how it turns out, we're all cringing here in the booth.
Yeah. I tell you what, to spin there, we know this track well, all of us. You spin there and you get away without hitting that wall, that is some narrow stuff.
Well, and the problem is they went a couple of laps down trying to get things back together. And how wet was it? Well, you see a problem down at the bottom of the screen. John Falb in the number 88 prototype challenge machine after he exits turn 7 and starts to go down the straightaway, which is not straight. Trying to put the power down in the prototype challenge car without the traction control, lights up the rears, car hooks left, big impact. Their day done. And look at this. Great battle. Patrick Pilet passes for the lead in GT Le Mans. Safety car out again, full course caution. But that GTLM battle, not only for the lead and the win, but also for the Manufacturers Championship and the 60. Another problem. This team has fought so hard. John Pugh behind the wheel fought so hard throughout the week. Damage to the tub, it was repaired. Damage to the car in warm-up this morning.
Same problem spot.
Same problem spot.
right before we went to that highlight package, I was thinking when I was watching the cars, I said we're getting right to the limit of you know, where we got into that trouble before, where cars just started sailing off right, left, and center.
It's just heartbreaking for the guys at Mike Shank Racing. All the work that's been done. Take a look again. Is there another car off when John goes off? No, it's just a car heading down into the S's, and then John's off down at the bottom of them.
I think he had one of those big twitches in the middle, which sets you offline, puts you into deeper water. You hit the edge of this track, and then you are just, it's a ticket you paid for, unfortunately, and it'll take you all the way through the ride, and there's nothing you can do. That actually is one of the places you're guaranteed to hit the wall. We've seen them get away with the spins on the front straight. We've seen them get away with it through turn 5, but you don't get away with it there. And look at that. Boom.
I think, let's take a look. We had another problem with the 85 this time. It's down in 10. My concern about John Pugh's incident, we saw John out of the car. That is good news, and they will take him to medical, and the doctors will look at him. But when I look back up the way where the safety vehicle was, it looked like one of the IMSA safety workers looking at the K-rails to the outside. It looked like one may have been moved.
Yeah, he's certainly caused some damage. I mean, this car has been through the war, so let's just ride on board right now, and we'll see exactly. Oh, did that hurt you? Oh. I tell you what, Brian, you heard him get on the gas, just gas it a bit in the middle, and it just sent him round.
Yeah, they're working on the K-rail up a little bit further where the impact happened. And remember, these cars have traction control.
Yeah.
But it just shows you that even with the aids that are there, they can't fix everything, and it's just that little bit of wheel spin, that loss of grip. You were talking about the volume of water in the tire, and it.
Yeah, they don't have to beat the laws of physics.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, so
it's just heartbreaking for that team. You see the bodywork, the engine cover is solid black. Why is that? It's because it's literally the last piece of bodywork that the team had to put on the car. They exhausted everything, both physically and emotionally.
But it sort of embodies everything that their struggles this week and everything that is good about this sport. Mike Shank says, you know, we compete, we beat each other's brains in on the racetrack. He said the amount of help we got from throughout the paddock, obviously it was Alon Technologies, which runs the Delta Wing, that helped get that car patched back up. He said it really illustrated what's so special about this sport when the times are tough.
You just look at that and you feel for the guys, like I said, that have worked so hard. But remember, there are plenty more championships and a lot of more stories to be told. There are going to be emotions that are played out throughout the day. And one of those championships so closely contested is that of GTD. Andrew's down in the Scuderia Corsa. Cam.
Yes, I am with Bill Sweedler. Well, this is heart-stopping stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a Georgia mudfest, really. It's okay to race in the rain, but it's just the flooding out there. The conditions are treacherous. It's tough.
The Townsend was leading GTD's, dropped back a bit. Did he say anything over the radio?
Yeah, we're, we have the least amount of downforce out there of any of the GTD cars. So, we're focused on the championship here. As much as we wanted to fight for the NAC, the North American Endurance Championship, the focus has to be on the end game. So we just can't fight over 10 tenths here in this kind of condition. You hydroplane off and you're done for the day.
Now, last night at the drivers' meeting, you addressed the assembled drivers, and just tell us what that was about.
Yeah, pretty much 40%, 50% of the drivers in this paddock have raced for Alex Job, and Alex is, one of those guys that just won't talk about stuff that's going on, and his wife, Holly, who he loves dearly, he has been taking care of for the past couple weeks. She went through a very tough operation. And, I just wanted him to know that everyone's thinking about him and his wife, Holly, and we wish him well. So everyone's thinking about you here at the race.
Well, thanks very much for those words.
Thank you. Couldn't say it any better, Bill Sweedler. Everybody knows Alex and Holly Job, and our thoughts are with them as well. There's a look at the WeatherTech Porsche. That is a fitting vehicle to be driving today in these weather conditions. FS2 from 2:30 to 7. Make sure you stay with us for the 18th Annual Petit Le Mans. We'll be right back right after this.
for the final race of the 2015 TUDOR Championship, 3 Michelin technical partner teams are battling it out for the GTLM driver, team, and manufacturer championships. The Porsche North America and BMW Team RLL teams each have 3 wins so far this season, while Corvette Racing has 2 wins here, plus their big victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Each of the 3 teams has a pair of Michelin engineers embedded with them here at Road Atlanta to help them optimize tire choices during the 10-hour race. While it is yet to post its first win in 2015, the Risi Concezione Ferrari team has scored 5 podium finishes, including in each of the last 3 races, making the prancing horse the dark horse here at Road Atlanta. But for Michelin, the season doesn't end here with this race. To prepare for 2016, Michelin is already testing with the new BMW M6, the Ford GT, and the new Ferrari 488. Plus, Corvette and Porsche will both receive significant updates with the new GTLM rules.
On board, that is the 25 right now, and that is Dirk Werner behind the wheel, I believe. As you see, Dane Cameron back in front, and here we go back to a restart. This is when we've seen a lot of the problems happen. You've got to rediscover the racetrack, and Cameron already on it. Look at the water standing on the outside. You want to stay inside that standing water out there, and now the visibility's not there. Yeah, exactly. Now the visibility starts to go down as the cars get up to speed, the spray gets picked up, and you see from on board the 70, visibility very, very difficult. That's Jonathan Bomarito behind the wheel.
That was quite a wide line there, but you can see why now. I think that was the 912 that was probably going past him right there on track. But, you know, Dane Cameron got up to speed there because, I mean, yeah, he's got that clear sight, but he also was at a pace before the yellow that he was driving so hard that I think he had it's within his grasp, is what I'm trying to say. The car's working well.
And about the first 5 cars can see okay, but you saw the battle, multi-class battle coming down through the S's. And that's one of those places where it's just difficult to pass or even think about going past somebody in the dry, much less in the rain.
Right now, behind those first 4 in prototype, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and 7th in GTLM are all on the same lap.
Team cars run 1, 2. We talked about this could be quite the battle at the end. They are tied coming in here, and if think back to some of the fights that we saw Dane Cameron have with Joao Barbosa, Christian Fittipaldi at Road America, and didn't like the way the game was being played. So while they're teammates, they all want to win this championship.
It reminds me a little bit of the parallels, and I think Calvin touched on it in the Open about the way the IndyCar finale shaped up. You had all Penske guys, and you can't ask one to support the other because they're both still in it,
absolutely.
all still in it, and it allowed Ganassi to sneak in. If those 2 get in front of them, you've got Jordan Taylor in there, but Scott Dixon running 4th in the 01 right now.
I tell you what, it's not in our view right now. We're watching this amazing battle, but Scott Dixon was very close to being overtaken by Patrick Pilet just a second ago, and that's how fast these GTLM cars are off the blocks.
It looks so calm as you watch Patrick Pilet in his office, but you got to know that it's a fight for grip everywhere around the racetrack. And the other shot that we had of GTLM, it looks like John Edwards really under pressure. The car that was right behind him, it still is in the BMW, the 3rd car in your shot there, is the 912. Now that car is a lap, or actually 3 laps off the battle, but it just shows the strength of the Porsche in these wet conditions, being able to sit down, get the power to the ground. And there's Jörg Bergmeister in that white 912 sliding underneath John Edwards in turn 6. And then right behind them, Tommy Milner in the Corvette, the number 4 and the number 3 there as well.
And this is basically a home race of sorts for Porsche with their North American headquarters just down the road, opening their brand new driving experience. You see it actually from the airplanes when you land at Atlanta Hartsfield. It doesn't get much better than that in terms of marketing. You look down, you're like, I want to go do that.
Have you done that?
I have not done this yet. Maybe I need to buy a car. Let's all buy Porsches.
Well, I think there might be like an anti-abuse sort of threshold there, Tommy, and then you
so
might
Justin's
exceed,
not invited, basically.
We might exceed. We might exceed the way they want those cars driven.
Talk about punishing a car and using it up hard right now. Tommy Milner in the yellow Corvette, the number 4, looks inside the black BMW. John Edwards trying to hold the position. down into one, but how hard are you going to fight right now? Remember, Edwards in a manufacturer's battle, BMW against Porsche, he does not want to let Patrick Pilet get away.
The answer to your question, how hard he's going to fight as hard as he can. He's got to try to keep those Porsches in sight.
Absolutely.
And obviously, the car is not working to his liking. We saw how much it was swapping sides on him coming down through the S's as its sister car comes to the pit lane. Driver change on the 25.
Driver championship implications big time here as we see Dirk Werner climb out. The 25 service going on, and there's been some rubbing out on the racetrack. You saw the little black mark behind the left rear wheel.
I think that's Farfus that got in, wasn't it? So
all routine, waiting for the fuel. The engine refires, and off you go.
Tough gig for those mechanics on every up and down the pit lane here to keep, to turn it on. We say it every long distance race, don't we? They kind of sit there sedentary and they have 30 seconds of action. That's the ideal race.
Yeah, and I was going to say, that's when it's sunny and 70.
Yeah, here they're just about holding on to it. But yeah, I tell you what, Tommy Milner's running well. He's pulling out a little bit. 31 hits the pit lane, Brian.
That is your leader.
Oh!
Dane Cameron and a problem. John Edwards just spins coming out of 10B, the right-hand portion of the chicane just before pit in. Edwards stays on track as the 31 was headed down pit lane for their service. Dane Cameron behind the wheel. Bourdais takes over the lead. The black BMW turn in 10A seems to be fine. And remember, Edwards had that slide going all day long and been able to hold on to it. This time it just got away.
That's it. You literally just get away. It's pushing hard at this level.
See the leader light system on the side showing that illuminated 5, saying that he's in 5th position in class, and the 31 underway. Matt, how was that pit stop for the 31?
Flawless stop, a little hiccup as he got ready to leave the box, but they were going to pit one lap earlier. Then the BMW guys jumped up on the wall in the 25, so the Wheel and Corvette team waited an extra lap. That way they had a clear pit lane. Basically, Dane Cameron was saying after 3.5 hours, the car's good, just trying to navigate the issues on the racetrack with the water. We're going to catch up with him shortly.
Be interesting to see, as you look, and we've talked about some of these third drivers, the best in the business, but they don't routinely drive these cars. And you can get this done with 2, but we also talked about at the beginning of the show, physically, it's not going to be that demanding today. The temperature is down, the loads are down, but the mental load on the driver today is going to be extreme. I think you want to put that third guy in, but we saw Mike Rockenfeller with a problem. Max Pappas isn't in the car on a regular basis.
I would say, actually, these conditions, you might see some guys go with their regulars more.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so much easier physically.
Yeah.
So now, Cameron, I was talking to Mike Hill from Action Express yesterday when Dane was driving for another DP team, and it's showing pretty well somewhere that he said to Ian Watt, the engineer, he says, "Look at that kid. He's going." He says, that car's all that car's not. Well, I've kind of got myself. He says that car's all cheated up. And so then when Dane started driving for them and was going really quick, he says, "Do you think that car's cheated up?"
Yeah, be careful what you say, right? So we saw a
when they
problem
realized
for
Dane
one of the
Cameron was the real
Mazda
deal.
prototypes. We'll take a quick break from Petit Le Mans, but there's plenty more coming your way right here on FS2. Right on board with Andrew Davis at the 18th Annual Petit Le Mans. Currently behind the wheel of the number 22 Porsche, being shown in 9th in GT Daytona, but there is your leader in prototype and overall, Sebastian Bourdais. Third driver in endurance events, not a bad third driver to have, as you pointed out earlier, Tommy Kendall. Christian Fittipaldi and Joao Barbosa rides with them and takes their championship hopes as well as they try to take a victory here and hopefully a championship. We saw the 31 car leading a little bit earlier. Dane Cameron with a stellar drive, Matt Yoakum.
After 3.5 hours, he gives up the Corvette to his teammate, Eric Kern. So with these conditions, obviously lap times are slower. Is it more fatiguing mentally dealing with these type of conditions?
Yeah, it's absolutely way more tough mentally, especially when you have those long periods where they're working on the track and it's going yellow and you're just kind of rolling around, then all of a sudden, boom, it goes green within half a lap and you got to get ready and get back in the game. And the track is constantly changing. you know, it's get drier, 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 and then within 2 laps, the place is back underwater again. So, you know, hats off to IMSA and the track. I know they're doing everything they can do to keep us going, but it's Road Atlanta when it rains. It's a handful.
Now, the points as they run, your team was in the lead before the last pit stop. So do you compartmentalize the championship fight and just concern yourself focusing just on the task at hand and navigating the water?
Yeah, certainly all we can do is as my friend Max likes to say, all you can do is race the racetrack. So we take each lap in each corner as it comes, but at the same time, to have a shot to win this championship, we really need to win. So we got to push hard as we can, but we got to stay on the island. So it's a delicate balance there, but we'll do our best.
And you can see everyone focusing on the rain, but Max, you look excited. The fun is all over your face. You can't wait to get in that race car. Is this type of situation where you even take it up a notch on the fun factor?
Absolutely. I mean, the condition has been very difficult. You know, a couple of days we've been running in the rain. I have my all faith in the tower over there at IMSA. You know, if you are out there racing under green, it's a condition we can do it. You know, we are here in Action Express and Wheeling. We prepared ourselves in the best way we can. You know, I have complete confidence in the team, and we are here for one thing: win this championship. You know, we have 2 cars, we have a chance to do it, and we can do it. We're gonna go out there and give the best shot we can, no matter if it's raining, pouring, or whatever. You know, and these situations are really what separates who really loves the sport and who loves it a little less.
Now, I spoke with 2 little race fans yesterday, Marco and Matteo, your sons, and they said that their dad, Max, turns, by the way, you'd never looked better age 22.
I'm super happy. You know, let me say hi to all the fans up there. Today's my birthday. Thanks for supporting me all these years, and it's an honor to be with people like Dane. You know, we're just here to finish off a great season and finishing off in the best way we can with the attitude and with never give up attitude that we have all the time. Every time we go out there, you know, with this team, it's amazing because we push every lap, no matter what.
Do you know John Force at all by any chance? Because I don't know anybody that can be more excited than you.
It's inside of my heart. You know, I have a love for the sport, and I'm honored that I still have this opportunity to come over and do this. And until God will give me this opportunity, I will take every lap and every moment I'm here with a blessing.
Well, he, I think, turns 22 today. Andrew Marriott, I think he's 24.
Thanks very much. Another man who's got a smile in his face for a double reason is John Potter. John, you're leading the class, but you've just had a visit from your 11-month son, John Jr., so that put a smile in your face.
Well, I could only hear part of what you said, but yeah, but I think I heard you talk about my son, and he's here cheering us on, and we are leading right now. Robert's doing an excellent job, and there's a lot of race left to go, of course, but he's been very dominated in the rain, and that was something that we knew he was a fast driver because it's the first time he's driven with us, but we hadn't seen him in the rain until practice the other day, and he hasn't disappointed.
Another German hot shoe coming up. And Magnus Racing...
It must rain a lot in Germany.
It does, particularly the Nürburgring. Plans for next season, John? Plans for next year?
This season has been a little disappointing, but we're definitely coming back for next year and looking to redeem ourselves a little there after we're hopefully done redeeming ourselves here at the Petit Le Mans.
Thanks very much.
Robert Renauer, Carrera Cup driver right now, a lot of experience in Porsche, I should say. And I was talking to Andy Lally about the 44 the other day, and they have struggled. A lot of the Porsches have struggled there in turn 10. Another car.
He'd been holding that 93 Viper at bay for about 2 seconds behind him.
Okay, it looks fine.
Looks fine.
Well, I mean, it's going fine. It's just not looking fine.
But Andy was saying that they had an opportunity to do some testing that they hadn't done, and they actually found a lot more grip in the front end, which allowed them to change the aerodynamic balance of the car a little bit. And the car was much better than it had been. And I asked him how it was going to be in the rain. He said, Porsches are always good in the rain as you look, and you see the little bit of lockup on the left front, just enough to take it forward.
Yeah, he put his right tire just onto the curbing and ran off the edge of the curbing into there. Basically, he tiptoed it around to not make that a worse incident, and he got away with it. Yeah, he just didn't want to go in that gravel and pulled it off.
And charging like he has been to try to keep Mark Goossens behind. There's 9 minutes to go. If it stays like it is, that 93 will clinch in that Tequila Patrón North American Championship. And he was close, but he was not able to get around him. And so to see this car run like this, you find where they find these fast silvers, the sneaky silvers as I like to call them. It allows you to run a 3-driver lineup instead of a 4, which really changes your strategy options.
But there are also kids on the way up. You know what I mean? The silvers,
Yeah.
they're going to be gold any second.
Just to share with you, you got Kuno behind you now. If they were to maintain this position and finish, they would win. So it means quicker. There's no point in battling away. We can win it somewhere else.
Interesting. He's saying, hey, Kuno's behind you. He's the co-driver with Christina Nielsen in the 007. Don't fight too hard right now. They would be ahead of us anyway in the championship. We'll win this later. We'll find a way to get back in front, get the positions back, and just being smart right now.
That's good race management, because if they don't tell him that, he's thinking, this is the car I'm battling. I got to stay in front of this car. They just basically said, holding him off doesn't do anything for us right now. So,
and that was Bill. That was Bill, and they have such a great, sort of relationship between the two of those, and they're going to try and do this together as a team. And there's an awful long way left. So
and they took that victory at VIR, and I talked to Townsend. I said, I've seen a change in Bill lately. He said, we just changed up the way that we're doing things, and I've changed up the way that I coach him and I work with him, and it really has opened him up, and he's found something that he didn't have before. And I saw it more at VIR than anywhere else, but Bill Sweedler really stepping up, doing the job he needed to do behind the wheel. It brought him the victory there, and it may very well bring him a championship.
Yeah, actually, that incident with Townsend, Townsend felt horrible at COTA, and it had ramifications for the top class as well. So they're both, obviously, that and Barbosa, in terms of his reaction to that, really put those guys under pressure. But a lot can happen here. A lot of racing to go.
A lot of racing to go, and I'll keep using your analogy of the sideline with a 100-foot cliff. It can change at any moment. We saw big changes at COTA. You've got to control your car. You've got to control your emotions.
One thing Townsend's doing there, you see he's not using all the road, and I noticed Cameron Lawrence was doing the same thing. You're like, why are they not doing that? Basically, the regular line that would take you all the way out to the edge of the road, it's so slick, and especially in that slow corner, I mean, you literally almost can't touch the throttle. So they're giving up a little radius to the corner and pinching it so they get onto some of that roughed up asphalt and start getting onto the throttle.
Saw IndyCar champion Scott Dixon flash by in the 01, sharing that car with Joey Hand and Scott Pruitt this weekend. GTLM cars working past GT Daytona. There's Townsend Bill being passed by the Corvette, and next up the 17 Wolf Hensler will try to get by. It gives you an idea of the difference, the speed differentials between the multiple classes that run in the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship. We'll take a quick break from Road Atlanta, the 18th Annual Petit Le Mans. We'll be back right on the other side, and Calvin Fish will join us. Make sure you stay with us. It may be raining, but it has not dampened the spirit of the fans here at Road Atlanta. We'll be right back. The one thing that has been consistent for the last 3 hours and 56.5 minutes has been rain here at the 18th Annual Petit Le Mans from Road Atlanta. It has been a soggy one. Brian Till, Calvin Fish, Justin Bell with you. And your ride on board the 07 Mazda prototype. Problems for the 60 car, the Mike Shank Racing team. It started with a crash in qualifying. They worked all night to get the car back together, had to send it to Elan Technologies to have the tub rebuilt. And then another crash in morning warm-up. And in the race, the S's bite once again, Calvin.
They really do, and it's such a shame for this team. They work so hard. They keep digging deep. That happened with John early in the night practice on Thursday, and the problems continued. It's just these conditions and that lighter weight P2 prototype machine just don't seem suited.
Remember, we don't only have championships on the lines for the drivers, the teams, the manufacturers, but there's also the Tequila Patrón North America Endurance Cup. That is a championship that is run over 4 races. It's the Rolex 24, the 12 hours of Sebring, 6 hours of the Glen, and obviously here at Petit Le Mans. And points are awarded at 4, 8, and 10-hour marks. So we'll have 3 awards of points here at Petit Le Mans.
52 hours of racing, so it's some accomplishment to be the best over those endurance events, and we're going to get these points awarded here in the next couple of minutes.
9/11, Patrick Pilet leads in the GTLM drivers category. Also, Porsche looking for a manufacturers championship, and the weekend has been okay with the exception of qualifying. They had a technical issue in qualifying, had to start at the back of the pack, but they have charged forward. Pile looking very comfortable from the onboard cameras here over the last hour or so, even in the very treacherous conditions.
When they're at the front, when they need to carve through traffic, that little edge that the 911s have had this year just really comes into play. And of course, you know, as fans of racing know, when cars are good, when they're bad or average in the dry, in the bad they can really be quite horrible. If they're really good in the dry, their qualities can really exaggerate in the wet. And in the wet, we certainly see these 911s extraordinarily quick. So I'm sure we'll see some good lap times when he goes back out. But the Corvettes are running like brother and sister, aren't they?
Look at that.
Like 1-2. I think Magnussen just got around Henslow, got to wait for the timing and scoring to cycle here. So it looks like, Milner leads from Magnussen. Henslow there, and the Porsche runs in third.
And it shows you the speed that the GTLM cars have along with the prototypes. That's Scott Dixon in front. And Dixon running third overall, multi-time IndyCar champion. And right now he's got Corvettes all over his rear wing.
Well, they've just got tremendous grip, as we're going to see through this section of the racetrack. You get to the straightaway, then the prototype stretches it a little bit. But certainly the GTLM cars in these conditions, Justin, are every match for the prototypes and anyone else out there.
It's just the way the chassis, there's more compliance. They roll more. Everything's different about them. And you know, the Michelins they're on in these conditions are extraordinary. And, you know, it's really a miserable driving position right now for Scott Dixon, because he's going as fast as any of the other prototypes are. You know, for them at this, just as we went past the 4-hour mark, incidentally, you know, all the prototypes are running 1 lap time, and Magnussen is actually running quicker than them. So it just shows that this race really could have a very different looking podium after 10 hours.
Get on the straightaway, that Ford EcoBoost in the Riley chassis stretches its legs a little bit for Scott Dixon. Remember, 4 IndyCar championships, and the Corvette teammates getting a little racy now. Dixon being caught up and slowed up by prototype challenge traffic.
Did he get a nudge there?
He did.
No, did he?
He did. He actually got a little nudge from Tommy, but he's
Dixon now coming in the pits.
Yeah. That was a good call by the team. Even if he was coming in a couple of laps early, it was time to get out of that little mess, wasn't it?
Wolf Hensler in the 17 dives to pit road as well. You see the leader light system showing a 3 on each one of those cars, shows you where they're running in class. Both of them running third in their respective classes.
Tell you what, JB, the boys are definitely earning their money.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend, and girls, of course.
Yeah, speaking of the girls, and a very fast lady race car driver as well, Christina Nielsen leads in the GTD Drivers' Championship, Matt Yoakum.
And they are up at 2 points at this juncture with about 6 hours to go. So with the history that could be made and what you could add to your racing resume, do you even let that come into your mindset at this point in time with 6 hours to go?
Honestly, no. I don't have time for that right now. Right now, it's a very difficult race that we're driving with the rain and the conditions. So I'm watching every lap, hoping that we'll make it through, and that's what's important right now. But of course, we want to finish in front. Finishing or winning would be nice, but we got our eyes on the championship right now. But we got to make it stint by stint.
Whitmer's in the car now. When are you going to get in the car?
I have no idea.
Those are some of the best plans always, guys.
Well, she did a great opening stint, certainly. So I think they got a drive time out of the way, if I'm correct. So she'll be good to go in terms of scoring points wherever they finish. It's the minimum drive time of 2 hours, 30 minutes for the Pro-Am driver.
Now Sebastian Bourdais heads to pit road, as does Jordan Taylor in the 10. Sebastian Bourdais in the white number 5, Taylor in the black number 10 behind.
The important factor is they were leading past the 4-hour mark, so they'll get the maximum bonus points. They're already leading the Tequila Patrón North American and Cup standings. So Ian Watt very calmly on the radio said, don't defend too hard against the 10 if he's coming. Think about the big picture of the race in the championship versus the 4-hour mark.
5 seconds.
When you got to give credit to all these crew members down on pit lane, the drivers get the accolades, but it's really the crew members. I always compare it to football. It's the linemen that do all the blocking. They do the dirty work. They don't get the accolades that the quarterback or the running back gets. The drivers are the quarterback, the running backs, but it's the guys that do the pit stops and get the cars back out as quickly as they can. And it looks like
nothing. Start it up.
Problem.
Get ready. Go.
Something going on. They're trying to fix something on the 10 machine there, the Konica Minolta prototype.
Well, we're in an interesting dynamic right now. We're going to see the timing and scoring cycle through right now. But if a GTLM car ended up, as we're following now, Tommy Milner, if he is indeed, as we come past the start-finish line, in the lead, it will be very hard to unseat the GTLM cars from the top of this field in these conditions. As it dries out, at the moment, we're probably having the best conditions of the race. That delta's going to sort of increase, but he takes the lead right now. Jan Magnussen, 2 Corvettes leading Petit Le Mans.
And they just ran their fastest laps of the race. Both of them are 31.0, 1:31.0 for Milner, a 1:30.9 for Magnussen. And they're now getting into the range of where the Porsches were running. So seems like the setup and the racetrack is coming to the Corvettes a little bit. The Porsches do look so strong, though. They just seem to be able to cut through the water better. Just the layout of that race car with the weight over the rear axle, Brian, you were talking about traction off the corners, but just seems very settled in the deep water as well, the Porsche.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about the Tequila Patrón North America Endurance Championship. Look back into GTD, the 93 at the top of the charts there. That is big. They won the race at the Rolex 24, and they've actually won 2 of the 3 North American Endurance Cup events so far this season, and they're going to collect big points here. The 3 Corvette and GTLM, the 52 in Prototype Challenge, and the 5 in Prototypes. Now, I expect to see this. I mean, there's going to be an ebb and flow as pit stops come and go, but you're right, Justin. On the racetrack, lap time to lap time, going to be hard to get by these guys.
Saw the Corvettes there running down the straightaway, Brian. Extreme right. They're trying to cool those wet weather tires down. Certainly through the corners, you're just looking for the most grip. Down the straightaways, you're looking for the best way to cool the tires off so they don't overheat if the track should start to dry out.
Andrew Palmer having a good run in the 52 Prototype Challenge entry as he leads there. It's Tommy Milner leading overall in GTLM. Sebastian Bourdais holding on to the lead in Prototype. We'll be back to more from Road Atlanta.
The Action Express number 5 continues to lead here at the Petit Le Mans, but one championship already in the books, and much like last year, the Action Express number 5, the Tequila Patrón North American champions. Congratulations, the one and only team to do it 2 years in a row.
Well, thank you very much, Matt. Obviously, we're all very happy. Thanks for Action Express, Mustang Sampling, Chevy, like ECR. Definitely without you guys, we couldn't have made it 2 years in a row, especially because we're talking about an endurance championship. And one of the key factors for you to win an endurance championship is lasting. Obviously, you need to be quick, you need to be competitive, but you need to last the distance of the race. And so far, this team is something that they have known to do pretty decently well, I think, at least.
Well, unlike last year where you and your teammate Joao had to complete your stints to clinch the Drivers' Championships, then you went on to get the Tequila Patrón Championship. Now it's reversed. Now you've got to chase after the TUDOR Championship. By the way, you're up by 3 at this juncture.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Obviously, last year we were in some ways in a more comfortable position, but in other ways not in so much a comfortable position because we had everything to lose. And because of what happened in Austin, right now, we're basically chasing the 90. So we don't have nothing to lose. It's either all or nothing. So we're trying our very best out there. And in a way, we need to win the race. And this is what we're trying to do.
It's like the sign that hangs in the team shop up in North Carolina. Gary Nelson put it up there. The slogan, expect to win.
See Christian's left eye there. It's not tearing up through winning big prize here today. As he's actually got pink eye. His wife got a middle of the week, and of all of the things, the championship on the line, he was worried about being able to see when he drove the race car this week.
And there's a look at the 90, the championship leader as we came into this weekend. Mike Rockenfeller behind the wheel. They're 2 laps down to the leaders in the category because of the problems that both he and Michael Valiente had when we had the heavier of the rain throughout the weekend. But when you look up front in Prototype, it's the 5 and the 31, the teammates again, and they're going to fight all the way to the bitter end. They were tied when they came in here. Whoever finishes in front of the other one could win this championship. See the 48 head to pit road, the Audi, the GTD Audi at the top.
Eric Cohen there has now got some really good lap times going, so he's settled in nicely. He's taken the nice approaches to feeling out the conditions. You normally throw it away at this stage of the game, and he really had a coming out party at COTA. I mean, he got up into that lead position there and just did a tremendous job, and that was the most pace we've seen out of Eric this year. So I think he gained a lot of confidence. They had a good test here a few weeks ago. Max Pappas was here as well, got some laps in the race car, so I think he's got high confidence coming in for this season finale, and who knows, this would be a major surprise there. You see a little twitch coming through turn 4 if this 31 team could pull it off.
I wonder if he had a problem on the last lap, though. I was looking at his lap times. He was down in the 31. The last lap was a 36, and Jordan Taylor has gotten by him in the 10.
Traffic possibly.
Yeah, well, absolutely. He can easily slow you up 5 seconds a lap around here. And it depends on where you catch it. It's one of the things we've talked about. You get traffic coming out of turn 3, and you've got to be pretty well resigned to the fact you're not going to get past them until you exit turn 5.
It's interesting. I just looked at the lights from one of the pit monitors just a second ago, and you could see the pit lane is gradual, still raining down there. But this kind of rain, Calvin, is very quantifiable. Oops, do we see?
97.
97 is off in the old clay out there as he makes his way back on. But what I was going to say is Brian, when you in these conditions, this is a very constant rain. It's good actually that it doesn't dry out anymore. Okay.
Problem with the right rear? Yeah, it's down.
It's down.
And now it's starting to come apart.
Just make it back. Make it back.
Billy Johnson. I believe. Oh, this is why he's got a
there's
flat.
why it's down.
That'll cut it.
It's the 85.
Goldberg got into him.
But just talking about the weather, Brian, the whole thing with these conditions is we actually don't.
4 tires of fuel. 4 tires of fuel and the driver's change.
For sure, they're going to change all that when he comes in. But here's the whole thing with these conditions. We don't actually want to see too dry a line emerge, because what makes me nervous about that is then that the pace goes up. And then if we do have a bigger rain shower, on the other side of that, all hell breaks loose. So right now, the drivers know these conditions. This is very manageable right at this point.
See the Delta Wing right behind Mikhail Goikberg there in the 85. The Delta Wing, the 0 right behind Mima Rojas behind the wheel. And looked like one of the aerodynamic devices on the front of the Delta Wing just fluttering a little bit there on the right front. So perhaps contact with a car has set that loose, but strange sound. I don't know if that's the traction control as he came through turn 12, but a strange sound as you watch now one of the GTLM Porsches slide through.
Probably on the TC about 90% of the lap.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the 911 Patrick Pilet being shown 3rd in category and 3rd overall. Ollie Gavin.
Yeah, he really is that tall.
Feels
compared to Andy
anybody feels like that to me.
He's a busy boy. He's heading down under after this race. Going to run Bathurst next week. He's excited to be down there in the Aussie V8 series. He really enjoys that.
That's a race I wanted to do. You, hey? That would
it's
be
mega. I was just out there. Lee and I did the race call there a few years ago, and the track is just unbelievable.
No action on the 85-97 contact. The 4 heads to pit road, and Scott Pruitt now behind the wheel of the 01. We saw him just in front of the number 4. That battle that was taking place up front in GTLM. Magnussen stays on track, and that's common to see with Corvette racing. They'll bring one car in on one lap, bring the next one in the following lap. 93, Mark Goossens, the leader in GTD, in as well, and some marks on the front of the 4, Matt.
And Ollie Gavin getting ready to get into the 4. They give up the lead as Tommy Miller gets out. You know, they've had a rough year. They've had a fast car leading and involved in a crash at Daytona. Also a great run going at Watkins Glen. That went a miss as well. They would love to end this season on a high note, scoring a win. The car has been very good. Definitely this last stint. Fueling has been complete now. He's away.
You see Pilet flash up the hill. The 4 now heads down pit road. Seems like it takes forever. You're on that pit road speed limiter.
He also got slowed up a little bit coming into the pit lane behind the Turner BMW. It just wasn't that, he was coming in with that flat rear tire, and it definitely lost 2 or 3 seconds coming down the hill.
Absolutely, and it's all critical. I mean, it's more critical in the final 2 or 3 hours of this race, but right now you don't need to lose anything in terms of the pit lane time.
So hard to make back up in the rain out on the track. So Patrick Pilet lying, what, he'll be second, right, as he comes by, cycles by this time?
Yeah, but Magnussen may be coming in, so I have to wait and see. I'm not sure if Magnussen and Gavin are on exactly the same pit stop strategy, but it's been 43 laps since the 3 car was on pit lane. Just over an hour of running.
We talked about Pilet looking so relaxed behind the wheel. You watch him and all the inputs smooth. Catch the car from time to time if it slides off the corner, but it just looks like he's on a Sunday drive.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch these fellas at work. I mean, they're just so smooth.
It's like watching your golf swing. All right, it's not so much like watching your golf swing. But when you think about it, when you watch a professional at work, whether it's a golfer or a race car driver, it does look easy, doesn't it?
Well, it is when he goes in the mud. Then it's very like Calvin's game.
Yeah, I've had bigger divots than that.
Yeah. I wasn't going to go there. I was going to try to be relatively nice to you.
Yeah, but also smooth, soft hands, confident driving, relaxed driving style. He's talking on the radio there. He's answering, obviously, something the team just said to him as he was going up the hill. That's also the sign of a really well-handling car. Just when you see cars on ovals, when they're twitching and nervous, they're not fast. When they're smooth, they're going to win the race. So
I'll tell you what, we were on board about an hour ago when I was in my break with Wolf Hensler on board, and I mean, his hands were like catching it every split second, and the factory Porsches just seem to be a lot more balanced and set in these wet conditions, so they seem to be having an easier time of it as the 3 car now hits pit lane from the lead, overall lead and lead in class.
So Magnussen now down the pit road. I don't know if there is a driver standing by, if we'll see a driver change here, if they'll double stent. Matt Yoakum's still there in the Corvette can.
And Antonio Garcia, he is up on the wall. Magnussen pulls the 3 to a stop. We talk a lot about the hidden heroes, the guys that you might not hear their name, but you heard his name earlier, Dan Binks. He's the front tire changer, going to work, putting that tire on. He's been going over the wall for 32 years. Today, his final day, he's going to retire being a tire changer. Started out back in 1983 with John Morton and Bob Loganberg. Pitted for Greg Biffle over the NASCAR trucks for years, but came back to his love of road racing. Hoping to end the season like they began with a trip to victory lane. The Binks, he's a hero to many, as well as Tommy Kendall.
He's a big hero to Tommy Kendall, but yeah, Dan Binks, one of those well-known faces on pit lane, and he is certainly part of the heart and soul of Corvette racing. As you see the number 3 head back on track just in front of the 4. Things will shake out as we take some pit stops here. We'll take a quick break. Bob Varsha will be with you on the other side.
'15 has been a challenging year for Corvette, but not without its great rewards. A victory at the 24 Hours of Daytona, a victory at the 12 Hours of Sebring, a victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans have highlighted this year's efforts. We've talked about technology transfer from the race car to the street car, and now we have an opportunity to actually see it. Everything from front splitter, engine airflow, rear wing, wheels, tires, brakes, all the technologies that go into the race car and how they're transferred to the road car to bring you as a Chevrolet Corvette owner a better product, a safer product, one that's focused on durability, reliability, safety, and performance. These are the buzzwords that we use at Chevrolet and Corvette, and it helps bring a better road car to all our customers.
Well, right now, those Corvette C7Rs who have big changes coming next year are doing very, very well in their final appearance in this configuration. Oliver Gavin and Antonio Garcia run 2nd and 3rd in the GTLM class, but 3rd and 4th in the overall running of the 18th Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha, back on board with Calvin Fish, Justin Bell, Jamie Howe, and Chris Neville are down in the pit lane. And among the myriad of stories we've had, including the weather, and it's starting to rain harder once again, is the speed of these GTLM cars, who basically dominated the top 5 in the last hour or two.
Well, Pilet, there's a spin there with the Mazda as Bourdais just misses him on the exit of turn 1. Everyone's stacking up there. Garcia comes through, Jordan Taylor in the 10 machine.
All right, you're clear. Go, 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 go.
It's the 07 of Joel Miller.
Third type. All right, you're good. You're good.
As we said earlier, oh wow, goes the Delta wing. round and around.
And that's one of those deals, if you didn't know the car was there, you assume the team is going to radio
let's
through
get
to
it back
the...
rolling. Nice and easy, if you can.
That's Rojas behind the wheel. If you're suddenly coming through that corner, you see the car and you lift, that can spin you out.
I think that's what happened, exactly. And of
Yeah.
course, that thing, it's unique dynamics. I think it just spun on its own axis like 3 times. That was quite remarkable, the speed of that.
7th full course caution of the race thus far. We had 13 for a total of 69 laps in last year's event, and that was in the dry.
And there you can see the footprint that Memo Rojas is dealing with
Yeah.
on the front axle there.
Looks like a small plane crash, doesn't it?
You can see just how wet that corner is, that rivulet coming down just inside the curb. On board with Joel Miller. Here comes turn 1.
See how carefully he was trying to feed the power in there too, and he still loses the back end of the car.
Big torque out of that
tough,
diesel.
man. Yeah, really tough.
Good radio communication from earlier in the race, and here we see the Delta Wing suddenly lose it. So there could be a little bit more water there, or just Memo lifted, seeing the Mazda diesel prototype up ahead of him in the middle of the road, and that'll just throw weight transfer to the front. You'll lose the back end of the car.
It's definitely the weather has just started coming down a greater volume than there has been for the last 45 minutes, and you know the driver's having to readapt to that.
Well, another of the great stories coming into this race was the saga of the number 60 from Michael Shank Racing. It appears that story is now done. With more, here's Chris Neville.
And Bob, it's definitely been a long story for Mike Shank Racing. It started Thursday night with a crash on the racetrack, rebuilding the car on Friday, and then a crash this morning in warm-up and a crash in the race. Mike, obviously this weekend, not the way that you guys wanted to close out this season, but if there's something positive to take away, you've got to be so proud of your team, what they put into this weekend.
I don't even really know where to start. I've never had a weekend like this in 20 years of racing. The one thing I want to say and take away from this is, as you said, between my team, the Delta Wing folks, and Elan Technologies, it's hard to put my head around what I saw happen today in regards to work ethic, never giving up, willing to do anything to get the car back on the track. It's a proud moment. It's incredibly hard on all of us as we go forward. What I want to say to everybody is that thank you for all the support we got socially, and we think we'll be ready for December 17-18 test. We'll be ready for the test with new car, new motor, new Honda motor, which we're really excited about, and we'll be ready to go again. But I just can't say enough about my crew at the end of the day. They're out there right now. You can see. Working in the rain. We got a load tonight in the rain, and no one complains, not once.
Well, as we said earlier in the show, I think it starts at the top with the mentality of Mike Shank. He's a true racer. He raced himself. So much passion for the sport in terms of keeping his program running and doing all the groundwork, not just showing at the racetrack, making these programs happen, developing the resources and the funding and the support to be here in the first place. And they never give up, and they've had a lot of heartbreak over the last few years, but they're still one of the best in the paddock.
He is a true survivor, is Michael Shank. You saw the signatures on the car from the fans in memory of Justin Wilson. I saw on the internet today that the fund for Justin Wilson's young daughters has gone well past the $400,000 mark.
Every season you get some special events, some special races, and there are some that kind of sit different than others with everybody.
Here we see that Falcon Tire car go through turn 5. He still has the lead. He has a nice buffer.
It's down to making no mistakes now. White flag as we come by next time around. Just can you do 2 laps? After 1,000 miles, can you put 2 more on the board?
Nick Tandy and the Falcon Tire Porsche team take the GT category.
It's hard to think that you'll ever win an endurance race like that because it's so difficult to win any endurance race.
It was a compelling victory. It was one that no one expected, and I think probably the best win that team has ever had.
We knew we will be good there. We went there and we tested there, but we didn't know how good we are.
The car was good to drive. It was nice, it was fast, it was consistent, and it was really hot. So we thought as the temperatures came down, it would only suit us better. And we got to the race week, and lo and behold, it did.
Derek Walker and his guys down at Team Falcon Tire have done an exceptional job. The tire manufacturer that actually owns the team, they won here last year, and they're putting on quite the show here this weekend.
Haven't touched anyone so far. They haven't put a wheel wrong so far.
I'd say we had the fastest package, the fastest car, the best pit stops, and from then on, it was clear that we can win the race.
Well, he knew the same thing I did, that it's here for us to take again.
Brian Sellers was cutting into the lead advantage, just ran the fastest GTLM lap of the race.
And just took leading class.
Everything was under control at the end, and that was amazing with a win the year before, and now the second time. That was just crazy.
To the line, Wolf Hensler and the little team that could. The Falcon Porsche wins for the second straight year.
What doesn't get seen is the effort that everyone else put into it. And I think that, that's important for people to know is we get kind of the glam of it all, but the guys were just as sweaty, just as dirty, and worked just as hard as we did.
Can you believe it? 2 years running.
I can't believe it. It's amazing.
It's great for us to be able to bring that to them, to bring them the bottle of champagne, the trophy, and give them their part of the reward. To win it back to back is a little bit still mind-boggling, I think, to think that we actually were able to do that feat. A three-peat would be amazing.
It certainly would. We heard from Derek Walker earlier in the broadcast. Falcon team will no longer exist under that banner after this race. Looking for their third straight. There's a look at their career accomplishments along the way. Wolf Hensler and Brian Sellers became great friends. Sellers with the team since its inception. Wolf arrived in 2010, and together with the team, there you see the signatures of the crew on the tire. They have been a great story.
And it may continue. I mean, they've shown some pace here today. I mean, they're running in the top 5 right now due to the pit strategy and cycle. You've got Pat Long behind the wheel. He can get the job done, as we see the 31 car of Eric Curran running in the 3rd position right now, hit pit lane, so just difference in strategy here.
We have heavier rainfall right now, so we don't anticipate a green flag for a few laps yet. Meanwhile, here's Jamie.
And Dr. Frank Stefan-Walitzer, the head of Porsche Motorsport, you've watched all season long. We've got to this point, the 911 leading the race right now, Porsche leading the Manufacturers' Championship. How important is that to this program?
Yeah, for sure. Now it's coming down everything to the final, and we are here for winning this championship. But we have extremely difficult weather conditions. Reminds me a little bit of Nürburgring. And but it's a close race. It's a tough racing here, and but we are leading and trying to keep it home, bring it home.
When it's a moving target the way it is right now with the weather conditions, the yellow flags, potential for red flags, what does the team have to do to keep the 911 out front, or at least to finish ahead of the BMW?
Well, at the moment, it's really everything is up to the driver. He has to keep the car on the track, making no mistakes, what is definitely not easy under these conditions. We have to lead, we have to be in front of the BMW and the Corvette, and we can win the championships, and that's the only target. Not easy, I have to say.
Head of Motorsports guys said it's all on the driver's shoulders, no pressure. Chris?
And Jamie, it's just a 3-point lead in the Drivers' Championship and also the Manufacturers' Championship here in GTLM. Jens Marquardt, the head of BMW Motorsports, overseeing the program here in America. And Jens, going back to Daytona, could you ever imagine this championship coming down this close at the end and here in a 10-hour race?
Well, obviously we didn't expect that beginning the season. Yeah, I mean, it's the last season for the Z4 car, and it's always difficult in the last season for a car. But Ray Hall and the guys, the drivers, everybody really made a great job, and we won 3 races. So here we are, 3 points behind, and yeah, still a few hours of racing. Unfortunately, weather is making it a bit difficult today, but we'll keep fighting.
BMW and Ray Hall have had so much success with the Z4. Looking towards 2016, what's the plans for BMW?
Well, I mean, we've got a new car coming up, the M6 in GT3 as well as GTLM. We're working with IMSA on the homologation process, and we're hoping that Daytona 2016 with Daytona Rising will have those exciting new cars there, and exciting for the fans and us, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, when this race is over, we're going to these teams, these manufacturers are going to be very busy getting ready for the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
You know a team's got swagger when their uniforms are solid white.
Oh.
Speaking of which, there's a look at the M6.
Oh, do you know, that's why I just love the GT cars around the world. These are posters that kids and dads will put on their wall, and it inspires generation
girls,
of people.
come on.
And girls. No, it does. It inspires.
Well, posters of girls or girls will put.
That too. My son's room. But you know what it does is it really allows us to pass on the passion for us for road cars that are race cars, and as much as it's about technology, it's also about keeping the car industry alive. And you know, there's so much technology movement towards you know, incredible energy-saving powertrains, but in the end, you know, it's got to be about great design and passion. Otherwise, cars just won't look any fun anymore. And I think just you see that M6 and you go, oh my God. I mean, just you want that picture, let alone to drive the car. So I'm sure we'll really, I mean, it's going to be amazing at Daytona, isn't it? See all the new cars lined up.
Well, pit stops continue in the GT ranks. We are, what, 28 minutes from the halfway point of the 18th Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda. Join us at Road Atlanta.
Camp Boggy Creek is just a really special place. I swear, if they physically weren't able to go to normal camp, they can go to Camp Boggy Creek. They can do all the activities. But the most special thing is just seeing the kids go from really super shy and self-conscious to these confident, excited, happy kids.
And see these kids that, you know, are fighting things every day of their life. It really puts life into perspective, and, you know, they go through things every day of their lives at home, and then when they go to camp, they can almost forget about it.
Yeah, driving with Jordan has been great. Last year was our first year together. He's incredibly fast, incredibly, you know, talented. So it's been really good. We've both, you know, enjoyed driving together. I think he's enjoyed it.
But I think overall it's great to always have family around. The only downside I say is that when you have a bad weekend, we all go home together, and then you're all, you know, they're depressed together.
Well, the music video started just, you know, as an idea to have some fun one day. The off-season gets really slow.
It's a group effort to figure out the song choice. That's the hardest thing. No one really wants to do the weird stuff except for me. So if they think of something weird, I've always got to do it pretty much. I won't go naked, but other than that, I'm pretty open.
We're writing the lyrics to a song. I'm not sure if this is legal or illegal or what it is, but it's an existing song, and we just thought we'd rewrite the words to it. And it's hard. It takes us a long time. Like one line probably takes a songwriter like 30 seconds. It takes us like an hour. We don't know how to rhyme. We don't have a good vocabulary.
I don't think that's a backup plan. I don't think we'd be very successful in the music industry.
Well, as we found out this year in our various episodes of the Continental Tire for What You Do feature, there's a lot of guys out there driving racing cars who probably wouldn't be a big success in the music industry.
No, we've had some really bad singing this year. I
really
think that was Spencer Piggott, the Indy Lights champion. He just clinched that a couple of weeks ago in one of those videos.
Yeah. The Taylor brothers.
One of Wayne's driver's suits, I believe.
They are a hoot.
Yeah, they're just, you know what, and what's really great for our sport is that, you know, again, they're a younger demographic who are not afraid to show via social media that racing is deadly serious on one side and great fun on the other, which is a bit more like it was in the old days when, you know, a lot of people were attracted to our sport. And because after all, they're young, fun, sexy people driving fast cars. It's not a bad gig, so why not show the world and share it? So, yeah, great guys.
As you saw, some work going on to get more of that water off the track surface.
Must be fun having the window open, Bob.
Oh, man.
Look at it going straight in the passenger door.
You'd think you were at the airport all on the way home already. Well, right now, GTLM class cars occupy 4 of the top 6 positions in this race, including both Corvettes running 3rd and 4th. Here's Jamie Howe.
Well, for the 4 team, Bob, it's been a disastrous season other than that win at Le Mans. Tommy, here in the rain, though, we wouldn't have expected this from these yellow Corvettes. What's changed this weekend?
That's a good question. Not much, to be honest. I mean, obviously the conditions is the biggest change, biggest factor. I mean, I had a feeling this weekend, even in the dry, when we first pulled the car off the first session, car felt really good there, was quick. And then in the wet, the car's just been really good. It's been fun to drive. I mean, these conditions are very difficult. There's places, you know, the more we drive, the more we know where they are now, but every lap it changes. And I'm not sure why all of a sudden we're, you know, at the front there competing with the Porsches. They've always been good in the wet, but here this track, these guys, I mean, we've worked hard still. I mean, obviously we've had a rough year, but haven't given up, you know, worked hard. And I mean, we're at the front now, still a long way to go, obviously, but obviously fun to be in the hunt.
As we look ahead, it was announced this week that all 4 of the full-time drivers, yourself included, will be returning for 2016. What do you take away from a season like this to prepare for the next year?
You know, I mean, at the start of this year, 2014 wasn't great for us either, and we really wanted to sort of buckle down, and we made a couple mistakes in 14 and really wanted to kind of fix them. I mean, we really have fixed those problems. We just have been a little bit slow the last couple of races and a little bit unfortunate there. So we've had okay races. We've just been towards the back, and so hopefully everything that we've worked on this year is going to help us a little bit for this race here today. And you know, good pit stops, good strategy, not making mistakes, and hopefully we can be there at the end.
You're someone who has grown up in sports car racing. Your family ran PTG for many, many years, but you've always been in GT cars. To be in a GT car now, out on a track faster than the prototypes, what's that like?
Greg told me, and I had to laugh at first because you don't expect that, obviously. You expect to be, you know, close. We've seen in the past that our GT cars in certain conditions can be just as quick as the prototype cars, and again, we can see in practice that it might happen. And I mean, in the lead, almost on pace. The P car is just a little bit faster than us, but on lead, on fuel strategy, things like that. But certainly, as the race goes on, you never know what's going to happen. It'd be fun to, just for the series, I think, and a good talking point. And for us in GT, we always say that we have some of the best racing in the world, some of the best drivers in the world, best teams in the world. Not that the prototype cars don't, but it'd be fun for us to get a win once here.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Thanks for the time, Tommy.
Tommy Miller, second-generation racer. His father, Tom Milner, the PTG group, used to field BMWs for drivers like Bill Oberlin and Boris Said. And it's good to hear that Tommy will be back with Corvette next year. Welcome back to the 18th Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda from a soggy road Atlanta on this first weekend in October. I'm Bob Varsha with Calvin Fish, Justin Bell, Jamie Howe, and Chris Neville are down in the pits. We are under our 7th full course caution. The race being led by Patrick Pilet in a GTLM class Porsche. Let's get you up to date with some highlights of recent activity on the track. Rocket start for pole sitter Richard Westbrook. You can see fog in the air. Heavy standing water on track. Caught out some cars in the early laps. Number 11 prototype challenge on the right. On the left, on the right, the 33 GT Daytona of Ben Keating.
Lots of damage there. And on a subsequent restart here, you can see here the Corvette is the meat in a Porsche sandwich here as he tries to get split going down into turn 1.
The 912 actually obviously had a cut tire there. You could see it crabbing as it came down the straight. The gravel stopped him from further damage, did bring out a yellow. He did have to get dragged back on track.
The car has had a real tale of woe this weekend.
Great battle for the lead here. You can see in the back of this pack here, Richard Westbrook, after a pit stop strategy, got the 31 car to the front, and then for the 90 car, major drama here for Mike Rockenfeller. Spinning the championship leading car around and then struggling to get it back on the track safely. Leader Dane Cameron just swerves around him.
Green flag.
You heard it, green flag. We're ready to go racing once again here at Road Atlanta. Patrick Pilet, Sebastian Bourdais second in the number 5 Mustang sampling Corvette Daytona prototype. Then Oliver Galvin and Antonio Garcia in the 2 Corvettes, the 4 and the 3 respectively. And then the prototype Corvette of Jordan Taylor, the 10 car.
Lots of standing water still there coming through that final turn, and you can even see there the Porsche that has been cutting through this water most effectively during this race. Pilet had a little moment there up into the entry of turn 3.
It was good call by race control to just hold off on going green for a couple more laps. The rain was heavy. You can see it there as they crossed the rivers of water, but then they allowed it to go down a bit before they went green, but it's still pretty treacherous out there. you can just see, normally you would be, if you've just tuned in to us, you may be wondering why Sébastien Bourdais in a prototype has not caught up on the back of Patrick Pilet. Well, that's the same all the way through the top 10 cars really at the moment as they lie on track, in the fact GTLM cars are more compliant in the wet conditions, and literally they're just faster in the tight corners in the wet. The prototypes are still quicker down the straight, but it does mean for this slightly unusual sort of positioning of the top running cars. But it's great fun for the GTLM guys.
It is, and here we see Jordan Taylor there trying to make a move on Antonio Garcia. It's the guy he drives with at Le Mans, so they know each other well.
Lots of mist in the air. This is down in the valley. Used to be called the Gulch.
What a corner it used to be when they used to call it the dip, as you came through there and rushed up the hill at maximum speed into the brake zone for this corner. It was a thrill ride, but not good when it went wrong.
10 comes around.
Yeah, you can just see this literal cloud of air, of spray goes up into the atmosphere, and you can tell the rain has just got that a bit worse. And when you're in the car, Calvin, you actually look up ahead and you can see this ball of white spray, and you know yourself that's one of the indicators that things have just taken a turn for the worse. But look, is that Fisichella who's in that car right now?
Yeah, it is Fisi.
Fisi just coming through. Yeah. Followed, of course, that was the 912 behind him, wasn't it? No.
Yeah, he's about to go a lap down to the 912.
It was the 912. There we are. Yeah.
Actually, no. This is Freddie
No, it's for position, I think.
Yeah, it's for position. Yeah, you're right.
Down into turn one. This is one of the parts of the racetrack where the water's been pooling a bit. We also have some in the middle of the S's.
Oh, look.
Oh, look at that wake left by the car.
It's unbelievable. You can see him squirming there, try to put the power down up the hill. Just a correction there. Now, looking at timing and scoring, the 912 has actually lost 2 laps. Here was some of their drama earlier in the race. So it's Fred Macavecchi behind the wheel of the 912, trying to gain one of those laps back, at least on the 62 machine of Fisichella.
Into the Viper going around the outside there, Cameron Lawrence. Not an easy move there as you head down into where the rivers of water. That's probably the worst spot on the track for incidents and accidents during this race.
And Fisichella will actually pit this lap. The reason he's going so slow, he has 0 visibility, we assume, from condensation on the inside of the windshield. So they're going to have to hit pit lane. But BMW having a pretty strong day, Jamie.
They are, but unfortunately they need to get ahead of that number 911. And Bill, with the way the Porsches are running today, what do you guys have to do to get ahead of them?
Wait for them to make a mistake, I think. They're so good in the rain right now that we just need to keep doing laps and not throw it away. The conditions are so treacherous that keeping it on the track and just doing the best we can. I mean, Augusto's in the car. He's like, it's slipping and sliding. I was in the car, slipping and sliding. I got it up to P2, but it's back and forth. But I think the class of the field right now is the Porsche. You know, the 912 had an error earlier, put them way back. The Corvette had an error, but they've climbed back up. You just have to go longer. We were worried about the last pit stop because at 5 hours, Bo could have called the race done. So at least now it went green again. We've worked our way back up into a position where in the championship, we're looking a little bit better. We got to win this race, so we need a little bit of luck.
Interesting point he brings up about that 5 hour, guys.
Yep, halfway is coming. Now just 3 minutes and 20 seconds away. We'll take a break and return for the halfway mark at the 18th Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda from Road Atlanta. Stay with us. There are your leaders in the 4 classes in today's race. Back at Road Atlanta and the Petit Le Mans. We're looking at our Nissan halfway leader. First time this year, a GT car has been the halfway leader in any TUDOR United SportsCar Series race. Pilet is also going for the GTLM Class Championship. To think about an overall victory here, that would be something pretty special.
It was actually just a pass for that overall lead, I believe, Bob. Not that these two guys are really worrying about it too much. I mean, it's all about the class victory here today and the championships that are on the line. But Bourdais just to sweep by Pilet there, so takes the overall lead of this race. And again, if it finished right now, that would make the 5 team the champions here tonight, with the 90 car trying to recover. They have not got one of those laps back, Tommy. Mike Rackenfeller now still behind the wheel, but they're still 2 laps down.
As our Continental
Yeah,
Tire
it's
race
such a
recap.
shame. You know, you have that one thing is just, and got out of it with 1 lap and then stuck in the mud, brings out the yellow. So it just, those are the ones you'd like to have back.
See the 4 class leaders. 7 cautions thus far, and a couple of them have been fairly long. As track officials have tried to divert some of the rivers of rainwater. And I must say, down in the turn 5 area, they've done a really good job of it, climbing that hill up out of the S's. Let's go down to Chris Neville, standing by with Brian Sellers.
Well, Bob, we heard Bill Auberlen talking about how tough it is out there when everything is going right. Brian Sellers' teammate Pat Long having some troubles in that 17 Porsche right now. What's going on in the car, Brian?
We're having some vision problems, some visibility issues, and basically what we think's happened is when they lay tear-offs on the windshield, they lay a base layer first, and we've got water underneath that base layer. The problem is to peel that off, you need a razor blade and a screwdriver, and the possibility of leaving a lot of glue behind it is bad and could make the vision even worse. On top of that, now we have some sort of fogging issue that makes it all amplified.
Obviously a tough spot right now with almost 5 hours to go for a team that was trying to pull a three-peat here at Petit Le Mans.
That's right. And by the way, that was Tommy Kendall you heard. He now joins us, giving Justin Bell a break.
So a little twitch there coming through turn 12 as Bourdais kind of used a little bit more of the road than they have been, and you get into that deeper water, and boy, oh boy, it's going to catch you very, very quickly.
Sebastian Bourdais must be wondering who Jordan Taylor is, because he cannot shake him. Even before they made their stops, he was really running lap for lap, matching the 4-time IndyCar champ.
Part of the problem, I suspect, that's creating these fogging issues is that these cars are so aerodynamically efficient that they're sealed basically all the way around. There's really no openings to let outside air into the car. And I'm not even sure in the humidity conditions we have whether that would help or not, but
what you can also have, even with an electric windshield, you might not have fogging, but you can actually just have water, like condensation. There's so much moisture inside, so it might not be fogged up, but it's still distorted because the inside of the windshield is wet. Now, obviously, if you get, during a yellow or something, you can get something in there and get that out. So that's not as bad, but even if you're not having a fogging issue and you just have sustained rain like this, they work hard to seal them up. But, it's virtually, look at this. Here's Taylor looking on Bourdais.
He is having a look, and it's hard to replicate these conditions, Bob. I know the Ganassi team, when it used to rain in Indy, they'd literally get one of the mechanics to drive their prototype around a parking lot, even at 40 miles an hour, and see where the water was coming in, seeing if it was steam up, and just try and prepare for races like the Daytona 24-hour race if you're going to have a lot of this sort of condition.
I heard a story that it took Volkswagen 3 years to seal their Dakar cars. So
I wondered where you were going with this story.
Seal, yes. So it's one of these things where you don't get the conditions that often, and cars that you got to work on, and they're not production cars. So so you don't want to put a bunch of extra weight into it. So, but in days like today, you wish you maybe worked a little harder.
You're on board that Mazda prototype. You saw that tiny little window. There's the 70 right there. Look at that little space cleared by the windshield wiper so the driver can see. Time for our Mazda mid-race report. And for that, back to Chris Neville.
And Bob, it's John Doonan that's oversees the Mazda program here in the U.S. A familiar face always here with us on Fox Sports. And John, looking at this diesel program with the prototypes, it's been 2 years with this program now. But as you look towards 2016, what's going to change with the prototype program?
Well, you're right. We set out on a journey 2 years ago to prove that Mazda's SkyActiv technology is up to the task on the racetrack. We've learned a ton here at Road Atlanta, as well as all the races the last couple seasons. And literally components from this engine have gone back to Japan as future road car solutions. For 2016, we have some exciting things planned. We're going to be testing here in a couple weeks, several days in a row at several big tracks in hopes of running up front and running for a championship next year. We wouldn't be here without our partners, both internally and Castrol and ModSpace, our external partners, and really proud of this group. It's a miracle of what they've accomplished by taking a road car engine and putting it through an ultimate test here on the racetrack.
And John, on any given weekend, there's more Mazdas racing on a racetrack than any other make out there. You guys have really got so much support in the open wheel ranks and in the sports car ranks. One of the things announced this year was the MX-5 Cup for next year, and the Long family that's involved in that. That's really a great program for you guys.
you're absolutely right, Chris. Grassroots racing is the foundation of everything we do. Our driver lineup here represents drivers that started with us in grassroots racing and now are at the top levels of sports cars. And we did unveil the 2016 MX-5 Cup car pricing here, and literally as of just a few minutes ago, we've sold almost 50 cars in about 36 hours. So we're really proud of that, and that theme of more Mazdas on any given weekend is going to continue.
Yeah, Bob, and there were some news articles that came out last week in Europe talking about Mazda, John Doonan's program, trying to get back to Le Mans in 2016.
And that would be great. That MX-5 is quite a project, just $53,000. A turnkey race car that you can drive forever. And now it has its own series.
When people stop me and say, how can I go racing? I invariably say go-karts or MX-5.
Yeah.
You know, it's, there's, you know, the E30, those old E30s, there's a great class for that. I said, but bang for the buck, and for a new car to be $53,000. I mean, if you want to go racing, that's the way to do it.
I think for drivers too, in terms of young drivers trying to climb the single-seater ladder, the Mazda ladder is unbelievable, and that's down to John and his whole team. John's just such a great guy. He works so hard. I mean, he has a lot of balls that he's juggling all of the time, does it with such a big smile on his face and takes it all in his stride, but he is working tirelessly to ensure that all of his programs are successful, and we certainly hope that we see those Mazda prototypes at the sharp end next year, because they've got a great group, a great team, some great drivers, and if they can get the little bit extra horsepower they need to run at the front, that'll be amazing to watch next year.
That's a serious program, both open wheel and fendered sports cars, the Road to Indy project, the MX-5 Cup, and as Calvin just mentioned, the prototype program. We thank them. John and his crew have produced a pretty entertaining couple of seasons with those prototypes. There's our leader in Prototype Challenge, trying to climb that hill and beat the guys on the Core Autosport number 54. This is the 52 Cutwood machine in the hands of young Andrew Palmer. Off into the fog he goes. We're in the second half of the 10-hour Petit Le Mans. Stay with us. Well, the picture tells the story when it comes to visibility as the afternoon wears on here at the 18th Annual Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda from Georgia's Road Atlanta. There's Colin Brown in the Core Autosport Championship leading Prototype Challenge car. Braun currently 4th in class, 27th in the overall. Of course, this team is owned by John Bennett, who also fields the factory Porsches in the GT Le Mans category. We looked into the backstory of how Bennett, a racing parts supplier, became a racing entrepreneur and team owner.
My name is Morgan Brady. I'm team manager and chief operating officer for Core Autosport. And I had moved to Charlotte in 2010 just through a chance meeting with John Bennett at the gym. He introduced himself to me and said, hi, I'm John Bennett. I want to start a race team in Charlotte. Can you help me?
I think there's a natural fit between Core Autosport and ourselves at Porsche. We all share a lot of engineering background. Both our founder, Professor Porsche, and also John Bennett share their profession being an engineer and having a passion for racing. And I think there's a lot of mutual interest, a lot of passion from John bringing into the team, but also the detail orientation, really attention to detail, the quality. So there's a lot of things which are combined in both companies, and this is why it's working out for us very well.
And while they swept all before them as a new team last year and won the Prototype Challenge category for driver, team, Tequila Patrón North American Endurance Cup and more, this year has been a little bit rockier, but they do stand a chance of defending that title. Let's go down to Jamie.
Well, for Core Autosport, this is the 5th team championship, John, the 2nd driver championship for you. You're an engineer with a passion for racing, as we just heard in that feature. How is this championship special for you?
Yeah, it's been a tough year. It's the competition in our class is getting stronger and stronger. So proud for our team, Jeff Brown Engineering and Colin in the car all season. Fantastic. I think Lazaro with us today, but you know, it's quite an interesting day. I mean, they don't call it endurance racing for nothing, and I think it's wonderful. I mean, you know, as long as nobody gets hurt today, it's something to see. It's pretty spectacular.
You were one of the first to step up when this prototype challenge class was announced back in the American Le Mans Series days. What changes have you seen in this class over the last few years?
Well, I think it's a great formula in terms of performance and cost, and every year the quality of the competition gets better and better. And you know, speaking with IMSA this week, it looks like there's you know, a good future for the class, and the car is going to get stronger. So it's a wonderful car to race, and the TUDOR Series is fantastic to run in. So I'm looking forward to many more years here.
Just through a full course caution for track maintenance right now. You've raced at Petit Le Mans over the years. Have any conditions at Road Atlanta compared to what you've seen today?
No, this is quite honestly the toughest conditions I've driven in, and you know, rightly so for endurance racing. It's what separates, you know, the good from the great, and like I said, as long as nobody gets hurt, it's really spectacular to see.
Congratulations on this championship, John.
That's right. I need to correct myself. John stands no chance whatsoever of defending his title because he already did it earlier in this race while I was off the headset. So congratulations indeed to all of them. And as Jamie pointed out, we are under our 8th full course caution now, and this is not for an incident, but for track maintenance. They simply need to go out and do something about all that water.
Well, I think they learned their lesson when you get the sustained heavier rain and it starts pooling and so forth. The way these things usually work is you're like, is it bad? It looks bad. And then you wait for the wreck and you say, oh yeah, it's bad. Here, I think they sort of learned their lesson, saw the rain pick up a little bit, some of the rivers get larger, and I think they're probably reacting, trying to be proactive rather than reactive.
We heard the radio communication. Sebastian Bourdais was saying that he cannot see the taillights in front of him with the spray, so that's the amount of water that is out there. And just getting back to the course story, I mean, they kind of dipped their toe in the water with the GTLM class with their own program there with a Porsche driven by Pat Long. And Pat Long reported back to Porsche, said, if you're going to do a factory effort, this is the organization. He said it was like a Penske at a very early stage. He said just amazing personnel led by Morgan Brady, who I think is one of the best in the business in the paddock right now. And John Bennett certainly has the resources, and all of the you know, wherewithal with the shop and everything is amazing. Right. And they just have done a brilliant job. They came out of the box last year with a double victory at Daytona.
I know he had some sort of a racing T-shirt on, which is what started the conversation. I want to know how he could tell that Morgan was the kind of guy that could be one of the best in the business at managing. That's what I want to know.
Well, getting back to the conditions on track, I guess things are steadily deteriorating for the Risi Ferrari boys. Chris, what do we know?
Well, Bob, before the caution came out, you were watching timing and scoring and looking at some of the times they were running on the racetrack and compared to some of the other GTLM cars, and they've been a couple seconds off in these wet conditions. And I just went and spoke with Rick Mayer, the engineer on that car, and he said, you know, it's just so tough for us because we don't have the aerodynamic downforce that the Porsche, the Corvette have, the BMW has in this class, and in these conditions, it is just so tough. So he's like, I told my drivers, hey guys, we are still just in the middle of this race. Let's just back off. Let's just drive around, take care of this car, and see how this thing plays out.
Well, certainly, yeah, it's been a decent season for Giuseppe Risi in terms of car damage, but he had a couple of years there, Tommy, that were just mind-blowing in terms of the amount of equipment that was wrecked. So I'm sure Rick has given the right orders there in terms of let's let the race come to us a little bit. It's the middle part of the race, like a basketball game. You got to be there for the fourth quarter.
Rick Mayer's the engineer. Dave Sims, vastly experienced, former mechanic for Jimmy Clark in his Formula One, Formula 2 days. There is real depth of talent at Risi. We'll be back. From the Mazda safety car, there's a look at race leader Sebastian Bourdais in the number 5 Mustang sampling Corvette Daytona prototype. So we welcome you back to the Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda. Still under our 8th full course caution while the track is given a close look at. Meanwhile, Chris Neville is standing by in the pits.
Yeah, Bob, we were just talking about that 62 Ferrari on track, and that's this man's Ferrari, Giuseppe Risi. And Giuseppe, your team has been so successful here at Petit Le Mans, 3 wins over the years, and a lot of people kind of forget that you're a privateer team going up against the big manufacturers, the factory teams. What's it like being one of the small guys?
Good. We enjoy the fight. We really do. Ferrari runs a different operation in terms of supporting privateers. They don't have a quasi-works car, so we're probably the closest to that there is. But we are a private professional team.
Also, so much success at Le Mans. Your team's had 3 wins over the years there. Ford announced that they're going to get back in the fight next year, 50 years after the big battle between Enzo Ferrari and Henry Ford II back in the 60s. Any chance we're going to see you guys throw your hat in the ring?
Yes, I'd love to go back to Le Mans. I've always had a very big affinity for Le Mans. And I saw the last time that Ford won at Le Mans in '69. I was there at my first Le Mans. Spectating, and I'd like to be able to go back, and I think we know how to win these long distance races, and I'd like to give it another shot.
Every time I go out in the infield here and all the other racetracks, I see so many prancing horses, flags flying for the 62 car. How impressed are you to see all the fans that come out each and every weekend for your team?
Very. I cannot say enough about these wonderful people that come here and back us. I was one of those at one time, and I'm glad they come here, and I want to take this opportunity to thank them for being here and supporting us. And even though we don't know all these people individually, but please know that we really appreciate the moral support that you're giving us.
Well, we've got a little over 4.5 hours left. The conditions deteriorating a little bit more. Cars coming down pit lane, and we've gone red flag, Bob.
Yes, we have. The safety car will bring them in. We'll park the field in the pit lane. And hopefully the red flag will not be for very long. The clock will continue to run, as you see at the upper left of your screen. And we'll see how long it takes. Giuseppe Risi is a really interesting guy. It's great to chat with. Back in the day, he and Ian Dawson built their own race car. They called it a Grid, powered by a Cosworth engine, I believe, and driven, among other people, by our old friend David Hobbs.
The Cosworth Grid Plaza, I remember that car.
Seeing that radar there momentarily, looks like there's some really heavy stuff coming. So if the track was marginal right now and they see that radar showing heavy rain coming, I think it's the wise decision to get the cars safely on a pit road and let this weather play out for a little bit.
They cannot be accused of being afraid of the weather. I mean, with some of the conditions they've run in already were plenty questionable. So the commitment to getting a race in. So obviously, with that weather coming and the reports from the drivers, they've wisely decided to at least hope that this passes.
Sebastian Bourdais and some of the other drivers obviously have been told that this is going to be long enough under the red flag that they can climb out of the car.
There'll certainly be a lot of the championship contenders, some wishing, okay, we'll just call it right now, let's go home.
Yeah, right.
And there'll be others that are saying, we better go back to green flag racing.
Well, while the drivers climb out, have a look around at theirs and their opponents' cars, we'll take a break. Under the red flag at the Petit Le Mans. We'll be back to Road Atlanta. Welcome back to Road Atlanta, where we are under a red flag. The 18th annual Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda, has been brought to a stop, though the clock continues to run, counting down to 4.5 hours remaining in this race. Let's join Jamie Howe. I beg your pardon, Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, just walking down pit lane right now with Spencer Papelli running second in GT Daytona and Andy Lally running first in GT Daytona. And you guys were just having a little bit of fun with each other. I think you called Andy lucky there. What was going on?
We had a pretty good car there that last green flag run. When the rain was pouring, our car was fast, and I went from 14 seconds back to being able to see him pretty clearly through my fogged up windshield, and probably need another lap or two, and that guy got a yellow. So he's got to buy beers Monday at Trivia.
Well, we've got a lot of racing to go still here later today, and Andy, we got a call here to go red flag. You've had so much time around this racetrack. Good call.
It really was. You know, as much as politically I would say that over the radio and whatnot, it's hard to ask the leader if you want a red, but I got loose over the crest of 9, which you never do. I mean, you're flat over 9 in the rain, and I stepped the back out, thought I actually had a flat left rear for a moment, gathered it up under braking, and just started going. They were giving me Spence's intervals, and I knew if it was in the rain that was the guy that was going to be coming. He's awesome, so he was coming for me, and but honestly, it was the right call. I mean, the puddles down through 5, there's 2, you hit a stream, and then you hit the big lake down there. And with the ride heights of the cars now and the compression right there, you actually pin the splitter under the water for a second, and you get a big old wiggle, and then the stuff down the hill, the stuff over the crest, the clay running across in 3 or 4 spots, it's pretty gnarly. As much as we boast about running in the rain a lot, that was pretty hairy. Over the years, that's top 3 of hairiest spots we've been in.
Now, in the middle of a 10-hour race like this, when you have a red flag, when it's been raining all day, what's it like for a driver when you got to get out of the car and kind of hit the reset button almost?
It's no fun. You know, cooling down and then getting back. No, once you're out there and you're green and it's this hard, and you know guys like Spence and Lee are on your butt, the adrenaline's going, and so you're pushing. When you get back out there cold and you got to get straight to it because you know if you don't, they're going to come by you. It's a moment.
Thanks, guys. Jamie?
Well, Sebastian Bourdais led the field down pit lane as we entered this red flag period. Sebastian, what was it like at the front of the field?
I'm just glad I was at the front because it wasn't pretty already. So, no, I mean, when we restarted, it was the worst it had ever been during the race and at any given point since the start. So I was very surprised. There was a lot of standing water, especially going down the hill. Visibility was really bad, but, you know, when it's green, you got to go. So I was just surprised we went red because finally it was starting to ease off and the track condition was actually getting a little better. But, you know, it's such a tough game right now because like we restart, rain starts to fall harder, and the red, you know, then we go red and then it stops. It's like seems like we're always counter current, but the Mustang sampling car is Chevy number 5 is pretty strong, so hopefully we can keep it going.
I think unfortunately this little drizzle that we have right now might be the quiet before the storm. The radar is not looking pretty. And Joel, as it sits right now, if they were to throw the checkered flag, you would be ahead in the championship by 3 points. What would that mean to this team?
I mean, that would mean a lot. That's what we've been working the whole year. Obviously, the Mustang sampling has been very strong this year as well, in pretty much all the racetracks we've been to. These are really tough conditions. It's definitely not the way championship should be decided with a red flag, but you know the conditions are the same for everybody. Just hope everybody has a safe race because its conditions are really tough out there.
Now, as you were getting ready to get in the car, you guys were setting up for a pit stop. I noticed your shoes. Now, I didn't see this particular style in the OMP catalog. Tell me about them.
Well, this is like a tradition that started a few years ago that I was home with 2 brand new pair of OMP shoes, and my kids were there. Hey, can we put our name in there? So I said, why don't you do more than that? Because they like to color and they're a little bit of artists. So I said, you can do whatever you want with the shoes. So that's how it started, and everybody loves the shoes. So it's Rodrigo and Gilles, they do a great job at home, and they can't wait for the next year to have new shoes to do it again.
Very cool tradition. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks very much, Jamie.
Rodrigo for right shoe. That way he can keep it straight.
Saw right through that, huh?
Yep. We're hearing from Race Control that they want to get this race in. I mean, any other race in the championship, I would think, you see in other series and so forth. But this, it's understandable. I mean, whether they get it in or not, I think they're gonna try. They're not going to be quick on the trigger to call it.
Well, I don't think what they want to do is determine the championships. Yep. If you make a call, it's like there's going to be a lot of people screaming about the decision. We should wait. We should got an opening tomorrow. They even said in the drivers' meeting we've got a 4-hour window on Sunday afternoon. It's like, well, if we've got time to play with, why are you ending it before 10 hours?
Well, now, though, but with the clock running on red, is there a provision where you can have clock running red and clock stopping red? Is there red?
Well, you know the old mantra, Race Control can do whatever it wants to. This is not the first time the red flag has intervened in this race. Back in 2009, the race was concluded at roughly 8 hours and 45 minutes due to very, very heavy rains. And of that, nearly 4 hours was spent under a red flag. But as Tommy pointed out, Race Control has said we have no intention of calling this race anytime soon. In the meantime, let's go to Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, we've seen some pretty amazing onboard footage all day long. And one thing I noticed with the Mazdas today, Jonathan Bomarito and his teammates actually reaching over at times and kind of wiping those windows clear, not only to see out front, but also the sides and see what you guys can see with the rear view mirrors. How difficult is it in those prototypes today?
Really difficult. I mean, as you can saw, we were using our hands to try to see through the mirrors to try to get a little glimpse of what's coming. You know, the Mazda prototype's doing a good job in these conditions. It's just really hard out there to see. The spray from the other cars just sits up in the air. We're under red flag now, and it's probably the right call. It was getting really hard with some of the rivers out there.
You know, we've heard so many drivers talking about visibility issues, but after 5 hours of racing, how much water is actually in the cockpit of those cars?
A lot. I just had to go change and get some dry clothes on, just absolutely drenched. When you're out there and you're focused under green, you don't feel much, but under caution, you're actually getting a chill because you're just sopping wet.
And with that water on the floorboards in there, does that make it difficult at all the footwork you have in the car?
It does. It's more difficult. We have some grip tape and stuff in there, kind of, you know, planning ahead for these conditions, but the water doesn't help anybody's situation at all.
Yeah, all these drivers down here, it's kind of telling war stories about this race out here and everything that they're having to go through. Jamie?
Well, Aaron Keating is the general manager for experiential marketing and motorsport of Audi America. You guys are fairly new to this racing in the GT ranks here in America. But the way that this season has unfolded, leading the Manufacturers' Championship coming into this race, how important has it been to this program?
It's been wildly important, especially as we go into next year with our new GT3 homologated car. I mean, Paul Miller, Audi, as well as Flying Lizard have really been working with us to make sure that we've been getting ahead in this season. And it's so important to be making sure we're getting in that top 5, top 3 on the podium each time to prove once and again that this program is the one for us.
What area of development would you say that GT3 program is in right now in terms of getting it ready for the 2016 season?
Well, for us at Audi, we're really pleased because we're one of the only manufacturers, if not the only manufacturer, that has a car that's actually been tested and raced and won in Europe. So we're in really good shape. We've got cars on production lines. We've got cars here for the test in November. We've got parts in the country and all of our engineers and techs standing by. So we're in great shape for this upcoming season.
Now, the number 48, as they sit right now, is 1 point behind in this championship. Under red flag, what are your thoughts about getting this race underway and getting this championship locked up?
Well, my thoughts are let's get this race going again. We need just a little more time. I know Christopher Haase, Dion, and Bryce as a trio, they've been fantastic, especially Dion and Christopher all season long. I know if we're getting a chance to get back out there on the grid that we'll pull this thing through for sure. No question.
Thank you for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And Aaron, as you saw on the weather map a short while ago, there is a pretty stern-looking storm cell just to the southeast. There you see it, and you see the directional arrows coming right across the bow at Road Atlanta. My understanding is we're waiting for that storm cell to pass, and then race officials will take a shot at restarting this race. So we have that to look forward to. Plenty of racing still to come from Road Atlanta, so stand by. We'll be back with more live coverage of the 18th Annual Petit Le Mans in just a moment. Before the world even knew it existed, Ford was secretly testing the spectacular new Ford GT race car. It was unveiled at the 24 Hours of Le Mans back in June. FoxSports.com and Ford Performance are giving fans an exclusive look at the shakedown test of the new car that will compete in IMSA and the FIA WEC in 2016. For the full video, go to FoxSports.com/Ford Performance. And I can tell you, going up in the vendor area on the top of the hill here at Road Atlanta, there's an example of the road going Ford GT, and it draws a crowd.
Yeah, it's fitting, I think, that, you know, the Ford GT40 was, as you know, really, it was a production car back in the day, and now, you know, during my era of sports car racing, the cars had very little in common with production, and now with the GTLM and GTD classes, they've come back. So this car, though, was not designed, hey, how can we sell a bunch of cars and let's go racing to help promote it? This car was designed to win Le Mans, and they made a street car out of it.
That was the car here at Road Atlanta, and you will see the car in action at the Rolex 24 at Daytona, the 54th anniversary of that great twice around-the-clock marathon at the $400 million Daytona Rising Project. What a spectacular weekend that'll be in January. And then it's on, of course, to Sebring for the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring. Then the streets of Long Beach, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, all the great tracks that featured on this year's schedule. Wrapping up in October back here at Road Atlanta. It'll be the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship beginning in 2016, and with more on that, here's Chris Neville.
Yeah, Bob, and with all the rain here in the Georgia red clay, I think all these fans could probably use a set of WeatherTech floor mats here this weekend. Cooper, you guys made the big announcement just a few weeks ago at Road America. The company is going to be the title sponsor. Now that the dust has settled, what is the impression from everybody back at WeatherTech about being the title sponsor of this series?
Everybody's really excited about it. First of all, it's a WeatherTech kind of day here at Road Atlanta with all this rain and the red clay. So if you don't have a set of WeatherTech floor liners, mats.com. But yeah, no, it's great. Everybody's super excited. Everybody's really pumped on both sides, both IMSA and WeatherTech. And I think when you bring such big players in each own respective category, IMSA being the top premier professional sports car racing series in the country, and WeatherTech being the leader in our field, I think the combination of the two is going to be a really good relationship for years to come.
Yeah, and great to see WeatherTech come in, be the title sponsor. But what about the team? What are the plans for you next year?
We actually have the first brand new Porsche GT3R coming that we're going to be running next year. So Alex is really excited to keep Porsche, happy and keep running Porsche all these years. But I think everybody's really excited. It's been a big learning curve these past couple of years with the GTD car, running basically a Porsche Cup car against essentially GT3 spec cars. So it's been really difficult for us. But definitely next year, we're looking forward to the new car.
Yeah, and Andrew Davis hanging out over here. Andrew, you're the third driver on the team for the long races, and a little bit of height difference between you, Cooper, and Lee Keene. What's it like having to drive when you got big, tall guys like this? I mean, can you reach the pedals in that car?
Well, luckily, our 911 GT3 America is adjustable, so the seat moves forward. So I move it pretty much all the way to the front. These guys move it all the way to the back. So we perfected the driver changes over all the long races here this season. So no problem. And I was used to it from driving with Lee, so piece of cake.
Yeah, and congratulations on that championship in GS from Continental Tire Series yesterday. And behind me, you can see the team holding a sign here. Holly, we're thinking of you. We love you. Hopefully get well. Obviously, we're missing Holly and Alex Job here at the track this weekend. Bob?
That's right. Alex Job Racing runs both the WeatherTech and the Team Seattle Heart of Racing Porsches. And Holly's going through a medical issue. She and Alex have missed the last couple of races. And all of us are thinking about Holly this weekend and wishing her the very best. To Jamie Howe.
Well, down in the number 48 pit area, I guess the paddock area with Dion von Moltke. Dion, as the championship sits right now, if it were to go to checkered, you would be 1 point out. So I want to do something different here. I want you to take a look at the monitor. You're going to watch some of the instances that have happened so far this season. Now, you weren't in the car for either one of these. You already have had to watch these unfold. So the first one we're going to see, this one is from Lime Rock Park. What was going through your mind when this happened live?
You know, that was a great opportunity for us to win the race. Chris was in the car, not much to go. Just opportunistic move by Connor Daly there. I thought it's difficult to work traffic, but that's racing. So it was a tough day for us as a team for sure, but one that showed the mentality of what these guys have and the persistence they had moving forward.
Now, another instance that happened, you guys had a slew of bad luck here just in the last couple of races. This was VIR.
Yeah, you know, we haven't been able to test much this year, and we tried something new with the rear brake pads. And throughout practices and everything, it was a big improvement, but that was the first time we really used it throughout the whole stint. And right to the end where tire wear kind of affected, it caught us out. So that's a bit of a difficulty just down to lack of testing. Both were really unfortunate in this type of racing in GTD and the TUDOR Championship. It's really, really close and tight. And Petit Le Mans so far has been a difficult one, a really close one as well. So, you know, it may not help us to go red flag right now, but Christopher Haas was in the car. He said, look, guys, it's really bad out there right now, and I know what he's talking about. So we're not out of this. We're here to fight. Paul Miller Racing, our Audi R8 LMS is a great car here, so hopefully we can get back to racing and get back to a championship fight.
When you think about the championship, you just saw those bad moments. You guys have also had 4 podium finishes, so it hasn't been a horrible season. You guys led the points for the bulk of it. What are your thoughts on the season now that we're at the end?
As a driver, all you ask for is a chance to fight for a championship at the last race at Petit Le Mans. We've been able to achieve that thanks to some great teamwork here at Paul Miller Racing. So overall, we're happy with the season, but we came into the year focused on the championship. That was the goal, and it remains our goal right now. Not much left to go, so it's really down to clutch time, but that's where our guys are the best.
Now, we know Audi is going to be back in 2016 with the new GT3 car. What are your plans for 2016?
I really wish I could know what they are right now. I'm not sure. That new Audi R8 looks amazing. I've heard from a lot of the guys that have tested it, and then it's already won on debut at the Nordschleife for 24 hours. So it would be special to be a part of its first race here in the U.S. at the Daytona 24-hour. But at this point, I don't have any contract signed, so I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next in 2016. Hopefully, I'll be back in the TUDOR Championship or WeatherTech Championship racing.
Another moment that I know was special for you, it was at this race last year when you guys won, so you're the defending event winners. What would it mean for you to be able to get back out there and get another win?
Well, the team won. Unfortunately, at that time, I was driving for another team in an Audi R8. So for us, and for me, I've never won a Petit, so that'd be really special. But I know our guys, it's kind of the home race. Our dealerships are up in New Jersey, where the team's located just right outside the track, 5 minutes away. A lot of the guys' families are here. So it's a big one. It's a special one for these guys. So if we could win one race, really, it'd be Petit Le Mans.
Thanks, Dion.
Thank you.
Well, it would be a tough deal for the 48 guys if they don't wield that championship. But, you know, Connor Daly, who we saw in that crash at Lime Rock Park, has had a pretty brutal season. He had that late spin in the race at Road America that cost him a potential win for the Performance Tech Motorsports team. And then here, he and Jerome Mee, James French were going to run a PC car, and Connor crashed in practice, and they had to withdraw that car. So it's been a rough season for those boys as well. Let's go back to Chris Neville with the man, the sheriff.
Yeah, Bob, it's always a delicate balance for race control when these conditions being too proactive, too reactive. But one thing that I've noticed on Twitter is the Twitterverse really giving this man, Bo Barfield, a lot of props out there, because you've been out on the racetrack. You've been looking at corners. You've been driving that green Porsche right there to see what the drivers are going through as you've been trying to make decisions today. What's the current status of the racetrack?
Well, first of all, I kind of removed myself from Twitter. Maybe I should get back on. It got so ugly for a while. Have some positive comments is good. I've spent a lot of time at this track back in my teaching days before I officiated, so I know it really well, and I know what we're looking for in terms just really specifically on top of our knowledge that we have everywhere else. Just a lot of feedback we're getting from teams, drivers about what's going on currently, and that kind of helps when we go full course yellow from an incident or track conditions. Then I'm making rounds to kind of take a look at it and confirm in my mind what we've got going on and what we need to pay attention to. Even though it's raining light right now, we still got to the point where everything is just so saturated and we're getting flows across the track that we wanted to get out and more proactively just get on top of and get ahead of it. We're digging some trenches right now that's helping with the drainage, and I'm confident that we're going to be able to get back going here depending on how hard or not it starts raining here.
And when you're looking at the racetrack, are there specific areas that you're more concerned about?
Going around the track, you get some puddling here and there, and that doesn't really bother me. You get a lot of gathering at apex curbs and such, which is just normal, or any type of curb for that matter. What really is a problem for me are basically the kind of rivers, as we've always referred to them, that flow all the way across the track and there's nowhere to go. So if a driver is cruising around and you've got plenty of grip and you cross a river that you can't avoid and it's unpredictable or inconsistent, then it's really hard to drive accordingly. So we're trying to stay ahead of those in terms of how we clean up the track when we go out there with the jets and the sweepers, and what we're channeling to try to get more water off the track in those places. And that's always been the case at turn one. It's always been the case in 2 or 3 spots down into the S's. So that's really what we're focusing on every time we go down, to get ahead of that, get that cleaned off so we can go race again.
And Bo, when I walked down here, you were talking to some crew members. I'm sure there's crew members, drivers, all asking you the same question. You know, when are we going to go racing? Is it the water coming out of the sky? Is it the water on the racetrack? Is it what you're seeing on radar? What is it that allows you to make a better decision?
Yes, it's all those things. It has a lot to do with current track conditions. It has a little bit to do with what we're seeing on radar. Right now, the radar's not, I don't think, telling me the full truth. So I'm getting ramped up here based on the light rain that we have now and the progress that we've made on track to ramp the program up and get back to racing.
Yeah, man, we have been all saturated down here in pit lane, but obviously Bo Barfield still looking pretty dry himself, and man, the hair still looks good.
All right, thanks very much, Chris. Now, unofficially, just over 30 minutes has elapsed under the red flag. Will we get started again shortly? Nobody knows, but we'll find out. Stay with us for more from Road Atlanta. Only 6 races to go in the Camping World Truck Series season, and the race for the title is going down to the wire. Tonight, they'll be under the lights in Las Vegas as Eric Jones tries to fend off back-to-back champ Matt Crafton and Tyler Reddick. Coverage begins at 10 p.m. Eastern on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Check it out. NASCAR Camping World Trucks from Vegas. It's always dry in Vegas, not so much here in North Georgia. Smiley Duck.
I think that's Feehan's.
Is that Doug's?
Yeah, I think so.
Corvette Yellow Duck.
Doug's Duck.
I guess if the duck doesn't float, it must be close to getting dry, so, you know, we can go racing again. Still under the red flag. Once again, here's Jamie.
Well, in terms of championship, stopping the race right now would be beneficial for the 911, especially Patrick Pile. You would get the driver's title as well, but for conditions right now, you said it was pretty bad. What were you dealing with out there?
Yeah, it's tricky. Actually, it's a lot of aquaplaning. It's the track is changing a lot, and they try to clean a lot the track with all the machine and everything, but it's still coming back with the big lakes and rivers on the track. It looks difficult for everybody, for sure. Sometimes the DP are a bit better, sometimes we are a bit better, but overall it's difficult for everybody, and there is a lot of crash. So I think it was the right choice, I think.
We saw you leading overall during the course of this race, the GTLM cars faster than the prototypes. What was that like for you?
Actually, I didn't know. Just the team told me after, but it was just a bit of luck. We have a really strong tires with Michelin when it's just wet. When it's a lot of aquaplaning, a lot of water on track, I think the DP are a bit better with more downforce and everything. But it was fun. But the most important is just the GT Championship. So I don't know what happened now, but just cross the finger to continue like this.
We talked a lot about those new Michelin tires early on in the race. What kind of difference did it make? You raced on the old Michelin reins. How much better were these?
It's supposed to be better on the aquaplaning. Actually, it's really hard already. It's a lot of grip. The tire is good, but you know, in this condition, you can have the best tires. Sometimes you just cannot avoid a big river or something. But the tire works good for the moment. We don't have to complain. I think, especially on the Porsche, on this condition, it's an amazing car.
When we talk to any of you drivers, it's always manufacturer championship. But as someone who's leading the driver championship, how important is that to you personally?
It is really important, and especially my stint was tough because I jumped in the car, was a lot of water, and the BM overtake me. So I have to catch the BM by myself. I have no choice. The Falcon was also close to fighting with them, but you cannot really catch him. So I say, okay, I have to do the job, and I just catch BM and try to open the gap after. But it's a lot of pressure for sure, especially with these conditions. Everybody is under tension and looking for the end of the race now.
We've seen a couple of times this season, especially the two factory cars, you and your sister car, battling it out for each other. How important is it to you to be better than the other car?
It's always a good motivation between the two cars. Unfortunately, they have a problem at the beginning of the race, and they cannot really fight for the victory now. But it's a good atmosphere, actually, between Earl and York during the full season. We have really a lot of fun, and we push each other just to be better. And I think that's one of the key of the success this season.
All right, we'll see what's going to happen today. But Chris Neville is with the GTD point leader right now. Chris.
Yeah, Townsend Bell and Bill Sweder currently leading the GTD points by 1 point, fifth in this race overall right now. And Townsend, really, you know, you guys have this points going your way right now. So red flag, we're going to go back to racing. What are you wanting?
Well, I'd be perfectly happy if we called it a day right now. It's tough out there. It's been a real challenge all day for everybody. I mean, the restarts are insane. I think you pull anybody up and down pit lane, the restarts on the back straight, you cannot see anything. So, you know, we've hung in there. We haven't made any mistakes today, which is great. We needed a mistake-free run, certainly not the fastest car in our class in the rain. But we'll just see what happens here. We're prepared for anything. The Ferrari has just been, you know, a joy to race all season long. It's been a tough battle, and we'll just have to see how things play out.
Yeah, you're talking about how tough it is to see out there on restarts. If we get this thing going again and we're racing at night, how tough are those restarts going to be?
Well, night's the worst. I mean, I did my first night practice here in torrential downpour the other night, and the issue is you just can't see the rivers going across. In this kind of light, you can kind of pick them up. You can see the reflection. At night, you have no idea. It's literally like black ice. It'll just catch you out.
Now you and Bill have been together, teammates for 4 years now. Plans for 2016?
We'll be back. We'll be racing in the TUDOR Championship again, and have another crack at it. It's been a blast. It's been a great 4 years. We've had a lot of fun. We've won some neat races. Been to Le Mans for the first time this year. And Bill's really just been incredible this season. I mean, he's really been the backbone for our performance on track.
Great. Thanks, Townsend.
Get back to the GTLM battle, Bob, momentarily. Looking at the guys who are on the lead lap, Tommy, there's 2 BMWs on the lead lap and only 1 Porsche. So if this thing does get going again, there's 2 bullets in the gun versus 1. They don't seem to have the pace of the Porsche, but any problems with that 911 in this manufacturer championship could get turned around here.
There's that movie going on right now, Pawn Sacrifice. So you trade a piece for a piece like you do in chess.
Well, the rain continues to fall. Now 40 minutes into this red flag. We'll be back with more from Road Atlanta and the Petit Le Mans. An eerie calm over Road Atlanta as we remain under the red flag here at the 18th running of the Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda. Bob Barsha, Calvin Fish, Tommy Kendall with you. Chris Neville, Jamie Howe down in the pit lane. Let's take a look at the highlights of the race thus far. Gun in heavy rain. Richard Westbrook was not waiting around. Got a great jump at the start.
Dominant first couple of hours here for Westy and the 90 machine, but the conditions, as you can see, were very treacherous. Chris Cumming had a moment, and then right behind him, Ben Keating clobbers the wall in the number 33 Viper Exchange machine.
We're not the only cars to go off.
Look at this battle, the racing here.
4
Corvette,
wide.
Porsche on each flank.
Porsche surging to the front. They and the Corvettes have been powerful this weekend. Now watch the Porsche right of your screen. Off the road goes the 912. Flat left rear tire. Nothing the driver could do about it.
That was Earl Bamber at the wheel, and they've come back, and the car is running really quick, but they cannot seem to get their laps back.
Great battle here for the overall lead of the race. That's Richard Westbrook in the bright blue machine there, getting around Dane Cameron, who had taken the lead. And then we see drama for the lead machine, the 90 car now with Mike Rockenfeller goes for a ride. Earlier in the race, it was Michael Valiente, and then with Rocky trying to get it back, turned around. Close moment with Dane Cameron, our leader at that point in time. Rocky's just furious.
Not happy with himself at all. Problems for the number 17 Falcon Porsche, 2-time defending race winners. Wolf Hensler goes round and round and round.
And the battle up front in GTLM. John Edwards had gotten the BMW to the front. We just spoke to Patrick Pilet, and here he goes around him inside of turn 7. That Porsche has been rock solid all day long.
The 60 car has had a saga this weekend. Crashed, repaired, crashed again in the morning warm-up, fixed again, and then crashed by John Pugh, and that was really all she wrote. Out of parts, they could not continue. It's the 07 Mazda Skyactiv diesel prototype making a quick pirouette. And there's the Delta Wing going off in turn 1. Just absolutely treacherous conditions. And we're showing you a lot of contact, a lot of offs and so forth, but boy, what a clinic in car control it has been for the 30-odd cars in this race in really treacherous conditions. Here's a look at the overall leaderboard. The number 5 Mustang Sampling Corvette for Action Express out front. Leader in GTLM, Pilet, Tandy, and Leitz. The first of the factory Porsche GTLM cars.
Top 9 cars are on the lead lap right now, so you've got 4 prototypes and 5 GTLM machines in that mix. Here we look at the next 10 cars. Falcon Tire car just trying to hang in there. You see Mike Wash there leading in LMPC.
And the closest championship we have, you know, there was a whole bunch of cars with a shot coming in today, and as it stands now, a 1-point margin for that 63 Ferrari.
Thus far, only 3 cars officially out of the race. See the field arraigned along the pit lane. Drivers out of the cars. Let's go down to Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, I decided to duck under the tent over here at Wayne Taylor Racing because it is coming down in buckets right now. I hopped in the hauler here, went up to the office, and Jordan Taylor was sitting up there. Your feet on the couch, your shoes off, you were watching the highlights. You didn't even want to come out and do this interview. And one thing I noticed is you've been out on the racetrack, you're out there, you got your head down, you're doing that job, obviously a very tough job, but you look like it's no big deal, and your dad is in here pacing around, just looks more intense than ever, looks like he hasn't breathed all day long. What's up with your dad?
I mean, it looks like he's got a bad hair day right now, but he stresses over a lot of stuff, but thankfully we've got a lot of good guys on this team to keep it under control, and, you know, thankfully we've kept it on the black stuff the whole day so far, and, you know, still a long way to go, so we'll see what happens.
Wayne, your boy's over here. He's making fun of your hair. I don't really know what's going on here either. But, you know, last year your boys won this race, and that was obviously a big day for you. You know, you won the first Petit Le Mans. When you saw them win last year, how was that?
Yeah, it was incredible. You know, they were such little guys back then. My parents were here from South Africa, and then for them to win it after 16 years, I think, was pretty amazing. You know, and to have your kids win something as big as this is really awesome.
And Jordan, I think that first year, what were you, like 7 years old when you saw your dad win? You know, last year, what were some of the things that he told you before this event? You know, what it takes to go out and do an event like this?
Well, he just always says that he won it overall, and you know, it was always a race that we talked about. I mean, we started coming here since I was 7 years old. Ricky was 9 years old. It was the first Petit Le Mans. And it's 15 minutes, plenty of time. And see, he's stressing about 15 minutes.
He stresses about everything. I think he stresses about where he's going to dinner tonight.
Yeah, exactly. But hopefully we can keep him calm and bring him another victory.
And Wayne, you know, one of the big talking points this weekend, all the teams, all the manufacturers talking about plans in 2016 and beyond. You guys, how does everything look for 2016? And then I've also heard some rumors about 2017.
Well, 2016, we all signed up. Konica Minolta will be with us. Team Chevy will be with us. And all our current partners have re-signed. We're going to have the same driver lineup. 17 is what I'm really spending most of my time on, and that is to try and get an understanding of where we're going to be, because it's obviously a whole clean sheet of paper. I'm excited about it. I think it's what the series needs, and I think when the big car manufacturers realize that they can run in a series like this for a tenth of what they spend in WEC, I think over a period of time you're going to have major manufacturers coming here.
And talking about youth and social media, well, you are the social media maverick in this paddock area here. Fonzie, what's he up to this weekend?
I mean, I've been getting text messages from someone named Fonzie all weekend, little picture updates of him at play camp. So I'm sure he's terrorizing some people right now, and I'm sure once I get home he won't even care that I'm back. So he's a funny little guy, and I mean, he's about 1 year old now and still acts like a baby.
All right, thanks, guys. Jamie?
Well, Chris, both the 4 and the 3 are still in the top 3 as we sit under this red flag. So I came down to Corvette, and Doug Feehan, notice this structure. It's a great place to hide from the rain, but you've developed this over the years. Tell me about this bounce house, as we call it.
Yeah, golf dome. For years, you know, we operated under tents and awnings, which worked out very, very well. But as time progressed, we found that they were more and more confining. The thing that tipped us over the top was more cars in the paddock, less space. They had reduced our space by 5 feet that we were able to have. So we had to build all new tents and structures. Rather than do that, we had been for years looking at an inflatable dome to eliminate all the poles and all the things that get in the way of working on the car. So when you have 2 cars, 2 trucks, and 2 awnings, okay, you have poles that are set up around the whole perimeter. So it's very, very confining. You could work under it, and it works out okay. But when you do a space like this, even though it's 4 or 5 feet narrower than what we had, we've probably got about 400 or 500 additional square feet in which we can operate. So it looks expansive when you're in here now, where before we had the awning space we had was less than what we are currently sitting under right now. And it provides additional insulation from the heat. It's operated by just a couple small little fans. It's incredible to watch. It takes about 8 minutes to inflate, okay? And then they run all night long, all day long. Yeah, there is a safety factor built into it. We have a backup generator for it. And if all that should fail, as the tent comes down, it doesn't reach the ground. So you could be under here, still be safe if the tent slowly deflates. So we've had very, very good luck with it over the last 2 years. We love it underneath here. Our fans love it. And it always seems to be the focus of those who haven't been to racing before. When they come by, they see Corvette racing. They know we're going to have something that's leading edge.
It certainly is spectacular. Quickly, another thing that's spectacular, the way that these cars are running today. What are your thoughts on going back to green?
Well, you know, we've worked very, very hard over the year. Endurance racing is what we do. All right, long distance racing is our level of expertise. That's where we really shine. You only have to look at Daytona, Sebring, and Le Mans this year where we came away with victories. We don't have the speed or the downforce to match the other cars. But what we do have is great strategy, great drivers, and we've set these cars up to run as well as they can in the rain. You know, the 4 car was off track, stuck in the mud. Yan had a flat tire. We had a broken belt on the air conditioning and alternator system. We had to come in and make all those repairs. You know, with an hour and a half into the race, 2 hours into the race, we were in 6th and 7th spot. But if you watch what happened, the strategies that we employed, when we got to that critical 4-hour mark, those points for that endurance championship, we were running 1-2 in class, we were running 1-2 overall. That's a testament to the team, the strategy, the engineers, and the drivers. That's what you have to be successful in long distance racing.
You're very right, and they sit 2nd and 3rd right now, guys.
Tommy, I saw Doug put that thing up by himself the other day.
You were reading my mind. The backup, the fan is the hot air out of Feehan. Oh my goodness. In all seriousness, the innovation though, you know, they've got that radar that even in the rain, I talked to them about that, the radar in the cars, it's the arrows on right and left still tell them which way cars are coming by. And so, you know, it's just a cool way. You give all these teams the same problem, they'll come up with different ways to attack it. And that one's pretty darn cool.
We've got a break coming up. Engines are firing. You see activity out there in the pit lane. And in case you weren't aware, Jordan Taylor, when he mentioned the 1-year-old who will ignore him when he returns home, it's not a son. It's his dog, Fonzie.
If you go to his Instagram account, The Real Fonz.